This is the Vision 79 podcast, where myself, Mason, and my friend Sander discuss recent developments in our business and personal growth. The name Vision 79 comes from our respective racing numbers. Sander's is 40, mine is 39, and we have similar ambition to progress in business and personal growth. Many successful people have started small, just like us, but very few of them have documented their early years. They often say they wish they had, and given we believe in learning lessons from others, we intend to be the first to document our journey from start to finish. This is simply a documentary of our lives, and as such, we do not monetize these videos, so enjoy the ad-free content. Each episode is broken into 3 segments, each covering our progress over the past week. We start by discussing our life updates, then our business updates, and lastly, we share any lessons we've learned over the past week. I'm thinking about doing, adding dates to the intro each week. So this update covers September, whatever. So today is September 21st. Mm-hmm. So this is covering dates whenever the
14th to 21st.
Is that what that is? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, a week ago, right? Right.
I can't do math.
From the 14th to the 20th, you could say, because it's the morning of the 21st.
Let me pull up my calendar. Okay, here we go. So we recorded last week on
the
14th. So it's the 15th to the 21st.
But it doesn't catch what about the
tailing night update? So it's the evening of the 14th to midday point of the 21st. That's what this week's segment updates. Okay, so we're gonna start with your life update. What do you have this week?
So this week, I went to work, and it was a really nice setting stone of why I turned in my 3 weeks on Friday.
3 weeks, not 2 weeks?
Yeah.
What's a setting stone?
It's I guess I made that up on the fly, but it was a really nice bow on
got it.
Why I just need to make a jump.
Yeah.
And I'd already been thinking about it the previous week, and I've been thinking about it for a little while, but it's kind of been a little bit passive.
Yeah.
And so I talked more with Sammy about it. And she advocated for me to quit and leave. And then I went through this last week, and actually I interacted with some really, really good people
at work.
And yeah, actually it was interesting because this week was actually probably one of my better weeks interacting with people.
Got it.
It was more, just slightly better people around me. I didn't have to really work with my coworkers. It was more talking with quality,
right?
Or, whoever, right? And the people were nice, kind this week. No one was really wound up in a bunch, which was nice.
Mm-hmm.
But every day I went there and spent 10, 12 hours at work, doing probably a solid 2 hours of work, with the other 8 to 10 being stuck in essentially a classified space where you can't have anything else or do anything else or work on anything else, sitting around essentially.
Welcome to my office.
Yeah. And then, working with the technicians, it was the level of quality and attention to detail was so subpar. I was why is my skill set here?
Mm-hmm.
It's for example, I went to work a job 2 minutes into the job. I asked them to wipe down the surface on the outside of the skirt, so that when quality came by to do a visual inspection before imagery, it would be clean, because they asked for that the previous day. And so I thought I'd get ahead and just have the techs do it before quality got there.
Right.
Waste less time of qualities,
right.
Make the job go quicker. He starts wiping it down, and there's a small gap down, recessed inside one of these panels. He manages to get the cloth caught in that gap, and then instead of pulling it out, he pushes it down in.
And leaves it there?
No.
Oh.
It falls into a closed off space inside the rocket. And I'm this is 2 minutes into the job. And I'm
this is when I drop the 10 mil and it lands on the exhaust manifold, and I can't get my finger up from the bottom.
This would be the equivalent of you dropped the 10 mil into the spark plug hole after you clipped the spark plug out. That's what this equivalent was. And then you maybe try to see if you could crank the engine over to see if you could get the socket to come up. That was the equivalent of this situation.
That's terrible.
And I was all right, sick.
I quit.
This is a problem. No, and that wasn't really why I quit, but I was like, that situation and the other situations and the volume of time I spend there, like it's just baseline. If I get there and by chance they're like, we don't have any field work today, you can work from home if you want to, right? Like by chance, that's never happened, or it has happened after a few hours of work, but like baseline, I spend 2 hours a day dedicated to that because it's the drive there and the drive back, not even including like actually getting ready to go.
Yeah.
Right. So like baseline minimum is 2 hours. And then the least I ever do there is 8 hours, maybe 7, maybe. And so it's like at minimum, I'm at around 50 hours a week.
Yeah.
And it's like looking at the business thus far, the frameworks I've been able to put in place, the structures that I've been able to build, the kind of the methodical approach to testing advertisements and scaling up the business essentially just through volume. I haven't found another winner, but just by putting more volume out there and testing in different ways and iterating and trying new things, just giving Facebook slightly more to play with. Yeah. The ad account has performed a little bit better over time. And that's like, I attribute the scaling to partial ad optimization and partial just higher volume of content for it to play with. Because every time I put out a bunch of new stuff, the ad account always performs like 20 or so % better, just generally speaking. But the ads still don't get spent, but the overall business does a little bit better.
Got it.
And so looking at those factors and looking at the BMW that I've wanted to sell for months now and haven't made the time to do because I've just been working on business, I'm like, I can quit. And if I quit the 10th, this is part of my math calculation. If I quit the 10th, I get my last paycheck on the 10th. And I get my last paycheck on the 28th because of the 2-week delay in pay.
Yep.
So that means November and December are essentially Q4 months that I would have to ride out without a job, but I could use only to building the business up. And in those 2 months, I essentially need an extra $4,000 to float me through at minimum, pending that I could start applying for another job in January or even maybe ask Autobahn if I could go back temporarily.
If you needed one.
Right. And so it's like, I essentially need $4,000, which I can sell the BMW. I'm confident I could sell the BMW for at least 4. And so, looking at that, it's like spend the first couple of days off of my job just fixing the BMW and listing it. I won't take more than that. Just put that up there and just wait for the $4,000 offer to come in on it.
Yeah.
Right. And then use that to float me through the end of this year. And then if I need to, I can reapply.
Yeah.
Or get another job. Right. And
that's the beauty of an engineering degree.
Yes.
People will always need fucking AI regardless. People will always need engineers, and they will always, even people who have engineers are always looking for better engineers. And so like I have told Grace this before, because she's been worried about like job stuff before, right? Because like it's right now, Northrop Grumman is like our only source of income. So she is like super worried that I'm going to make the wrong joke in an HR meeting and then get fired. But I have told her, I'm like, listen, when you have an engineering degree and a high GPA when you graduated, and then you have an employment history with work products that you can share, a lot of the stuff that I do is classified. So like, I can't get into the nitty gritty of why what I do is valuable. But when I tell you that I was the only systems engineer running an SRR SFR with a team of 40 people, that I feel speaks for itself. And you don't even know anything classified about that. And then throw in a security clearance, like the DoD clearance on top of that. And like, the only thing stopping me from going and getting another job somewhere else is that I'm not applying to them, right? And Sandra's in the same situation. And she was like, yeah, well, it's difficult for people to get, it's part of my business update, but the Fed cut rates this week. And it's because it's because the job market's not as strong as they wanted it to be. There's not a ton of people who are hiring. And then there's also, not a ton of people that are really looking for jobs, but unemployment is high, right? So it's like people don't have jobs, but they're also not looking for jobs. And then people aren't hiring. So it's just like a stagnant market. It's weird. But Grace was like, I know a lot of people who have good degrees and can't get jobs. And I was like, yeah, those people don't know how to apply to jobs. And she was like, well, I know people that have applied online. And I was like, did you know
that's the problem?
That when we graduated, Sander applied to like 60 jobs online, and he still had a whole list of jobs to keep applying for. And in the middle of all the online applications, we went to a career fair and he had an offer in 13 minutes. And there were 300 people sitting waiting to be called up for hours. Some people were there for 6 hours when we got there, and you got an offer in 15 minutes.
That's whenever someone tells me, "Oh, I can't find a job," my first question is are you applying online or are you going in person?
Dude, great.
Every single person without fault has told me, "Oh, I've been applying on LinkedIn. Oh, I've been applying online." One of those two things. They told me, and I said, "You need to go in person." And until they go in person, they don't find something. They go in person for 1 week. They find it.
Again,
not a problem.
Part of my life update, but a day or two after Grace and I had this conversation, she secured a job at the Pilates studio that she wanted. The number one job that she was looking for. She went and gave a resume to like 15 places, applied online, whatever. The one that she wanted, she got, and she had gone in person to submit her resume. She went in and submitted her resume to like a manager there, like not a hiring person. And they were like, "Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I'll give it to my boss." And it was one of those deals. And they did. And then hers was the first resume to come up when the job opened up the next week when someone left. And so it's like going in person and applying yourself takes you so much further than most of these people think. But I can accurately say that you and I have purchased like job security insurance by getting our degrees from college, because even if you're fired from your current job, if you quit and the drop shipping doesn't work, if you get another job at an engineering company and then you're fired from that one, like you can always get another one. If fucking Frank can get a job out of college, anybody with an engineering degree can get a job, right? And so I have no worries about it.
It's like,
I support you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. But it's like my thinking on it too is the fourth quarter of the year is the best part of the year to scale anything e-commerce. And I was like, okay, if I don't take this opportunity, which I have a plan for the next 2 months at minimum, if I don't take this opportunity, I'll be waiting a year to get the same opportunity.
Right.
And if I take the opportunity, the downside is I have to job hunt in January, right? And figure out how to pay off, continue paying my bills, right? And kind of float a little bit for a little bit. That's the downside. The upside is literally unlimited.
Right.
And so it's like, I'm 24. It's like, I don't have that much to lose at the end of the day. It's like, it's going to be okay. So it's like, you know what? Screw it. I've known enough people who just have like, I know people who have floated from job to job like every month. They'll work like 2-3 weeks and then they'll just float, or they'll go on a vacation for a month. And they're fine. They make it work. And it's like, I know too many people like that to think that like, I'm just going to completely crash and burn and become homeless out of this.
But even if you do become homeless, you could just file bankruptcy and start over, right?
But it's like, I really don't think I will. And Sammy's being very, very supportive. And she's like 100% on board with it. Wants to see me grow, which is super cool.
Even if you became homeless, I know enough homeowners now that I could find someone to rent you a room for $300 a month, and you can pay that. Or my parents, they've got 2 guest rooms now. They're empty nesters, so like they would love to have you. You're never going to be like without a home. You'll never be like
I don't think so. Not going to, but
I don't think so.
And then I have some more like business oriented stuff around it as well. But I wanted to mention, I sent a funny message. You mentioned the email thing at work. I sent a good set of messages on Friday.
What email thing at work?
You were like, "Oh, like Grace is worried about like if I get
maybe
trouble with HR email, right?" Friday night, I got permission to work from home because we didn't have anything going on. Friday at 8:30 p.m., the operations desk messages me and says, "Hey, they're ready for you to take out these panels inside the core stage." And I said, "Cool. Sounds like a Monday first shift problem." And she was like, "No, they want it done like now." And I was like, "What about Saturday first shift?" And she was like, "No, like they want it done tonight." And I was like, I just put in my 3 weeks. Who do I have to call to tell them I have the shit so that this isn't a problem anymore? And dude, she was like, "What?" And I was like, "I'm leaving. Who do I need to call?" And it was like, you know what? Saturday first shift problem, or AKA not mine on 8:30 p.m. on a Friday.
You'll recall from my first year, there was a guy that rang up a systems engineer on my team, and he was like, "Hey, I need you to do this thing." It was like, it was some like check the box type of busy work thing, but he was like, "I need you to go through this like 300 slide PowerPoint. It has to be done by close of business." And it was like 11 a.m. And so my coworker was like, "Mason, can you help me with this?" And I was like, "Sure, what is it?" And he told me, and I was like, "I'm going to be the most help that anyone can be to you right now." And he was like, "Please." I was like, "I'll handle it." And he was like, "All entirely?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. I'm a T1. Like I'm a level 1 engineer. No worries." And so I called the guy asking us to do the assignment. And I was like, hey, so let me confirm that this is what you need done. And I ran through the list of everything and he was like, yeah, you got it. And I was like, cool. And so this needs to be done by COV. And he was like, yeah. And I was like, when do you submit this document for review? And he was like, in 3 days. And I was like, cool, it'll be done then. He was like, no, it has to be done today. And I was like, no, you needed to tell us about this 3 months ago. And then I hung up on him. And so then he called my coworker. My coworker was like, Mason, this guy just called the fucking program manager. And he was like, who the fuck is the T1 telling me to fuck off and then hang up on me? Like, what's going on? He was flabbergasted. And I was like, he should have told us ahead of time. Like, yeah, I really appreciate that attitude because I'm not going to pay the penalty for someone else fucking up if you're not going to be grateful and ask me for a personal favor.
And I'm not going to friggin' waltz over to an hour away to the VAB at the end of my shift to go work some shit that you just told me about 5 minutes ago.
Right.
Ain't gonna happen.
Why am I putting my life on hold for something that you didn't properly manage, right?
They got a whole department called flow management. Maybe they should manage something.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And so and I told my coworker, I was like, dude, you are the systems engineer for this role. Why were you not on top of this? And he accurately was like, they have not been sending me the meeting invites and have not been giving me access to the folders. Like they are actively outing me because at the time there was like office politics going on. And I was like, cool. If he's going to actively restrict your access to these documents, he can't then give you the password and then tell you to go do all the work on the last day. He can't do that. That's not how we operate here.
Yeah, but that was my main update, and then very funny. I was gonna tell you about this on the podcast and get your reaction, but
here we are.
Yeah. But it was funny because you texted me Friday as I was writing my email to turn in my 3 weeks, and you're like, "Hey, Blue Origin just got like this," and you like linked me up in this chat.
Yeah,
and I was like, funny, I just quit.
It's so funny because this is a woman that I worked with at Northrop Grumman, and then she left to work at Lockheed Martin, and now she's taking a job with Blue Origin. And she told me, she was like, I thought Lockheed would pay way better than Northrop, and they do, and Blue Origin pays even better than Lockheed. And I was like, cool. And so she was like, you should come work over here. She tried to get me a job at Lockheed when she moved over there too, and I was like, I'm not moving. And so then this time, I thought about it for a second, and then I was like, it's in Merritt Island, so it's a further drive for me. I don't know the team dynamics. I'm kind of excelling right now. As soon as the promotional freeze lifts with Northrop Grumman, I can probably demand to skip level 2 and move to a level 3 position at a minimum to begin with. So I have like a super high leverage position right now. And I'm comfortable. I'm not like hurting for money. I do not want to shift my life for more money from a 9 to 5, right? I need the 9 to 5 to pay the bills and nothing else, so I can spend the rest of my time doing other things.
Yeah.
And since I'm excelling right now, I can flex my hours. If I have a showing in the middle of the day or something else and there's not a meeting I have to go to, I get my work done.
Yeah.
And so I was like, this isn't a spot for me, but Merritt Island is a shorter drive than Cape Canaveral for my buddy who probably would appreciate a shorter drive and double the pay.
Yeah.
Because no kidding, I'm thinking that this is probably like a low 6-figure job, like 110, 120.
Yeah. I mean, if something in that range pops up and like the actual contract works,
Right.
Because some I've heard some horror stories with some contracts where they'll be like, yep, 40 hours a week, 3 days a week. And you get there and it's like 20 to 30 hours of overtime unpaid and 5 days a week.
Right. Exactly.
And so like, as long as the contract, well, you can't say no to an opportunity you don't have.
Exactly.
Right? Exactly.
And
So I'm always like, you know what? This is a really weird reframe on my day, but I'm going to fill out my resume for this.
Yeah. I said that, Yeah. Well, so I messaged it to you. I was like, there's this opportunity. Immediately I told her, I've got this buddy who does great work and he would be interested. I'm going to send you his resume. And then I texted you and I was like, I'm going to put you in for this. And then you were like, I'm actually quitting my job today. And so I was like, at first, the first reaction I had was, no, but you don't have the job. You have to interview first. Like, like you're quitting your job to take this one. Yeah. And then I was like, oh, that's not what's happening at all. Got it. So I was like, oh, I wonder if his phone calls went well with his conference people this week and he's able to make the extra money. And then you're like, no, I'm just going to figure it out. And I was like, okay, cool. Got it. And then I thought about it for a second and I was like, before I go tell this Blue Origin lady that you're not interested, I'm going to wait for the end of the day for you to actually submit your resignation. Because maybe once that's done, Sander changes his mind, and I don't want to slam the door on this in case you change your mind by the end of that. Because for all I know, you get to work and then you're like, oh, they just lifted the work restrictions, so like now I only do 3-hour days every day. I don't know. So I didn't say anything to her, and then I checked my phone later in the day because I can't have it at my desk. So I came out and checked it, and you were like, I can't say no to an opportunity I don't have, so I'm going to fill out my resume. And I was like, this is perfect timing. Thank goodness. This is great.
Yeah.
So it ended up working out really well. But that's a good opportunity where it's like, it takes a while to get a job. So you have 3 weeks before you leave, and getting a new job takes like a minimum of 3 weeks anyways. And so like, even if you did an interview tomorrow and they were like, want to make 120K working 12 hours a week, like you still have like a gap time to work on their stuff. And then if not, then maybe you just build good rapport with someone and then you don't take the job. And then if you need one down the line, then you have more connections anyways.
Yeah. Well, this also gets into the consultation stuff. You briefly mentioned it as well. So I actually do have an update on that as well, but it's more business update oriented.
Gotcha.
But I wanted to give you the opportunity to go through life update.
Cool. Mine's a little quicker. Grace got the Pilates job.
Awesome.
So she's working.
Congratulations.
She's working at a Pilates studio in Vieira.
Okay.
And she was looking at a range of jobs because essentially the premise is this: she has $850 a month in student loan payments, right?
Yeah.
And that is, I believe, interest only. So $850 a month doesn't even pay off the loan; it just covers the interest, right? And then she's on a government program right now, which is a income-based payment plan, where if you aren't making any income, then you don't make any payments. So as of right now, she only pays the private loans, right?
Got it.
And I was like, hey, I'm making decent money at Northrop, but like I can't pay your student loans every month.
Yeah.
And she was like, got it. Her plan was to put it on a credit card for a few months until the next real estate closing. But she learned when she went to make the payment that she can't do that. It has to be real money. It can't be credit. So I covered 1 month and I was like, I'll cover this month and then you go find a job. And so she applied, must have been like 20 different places. She went in person, she applied online, maybe more than 20, I don't know. And she had like 4 offers. She did like 3 or 4 interviews and she got like 4 offers. And a lot of them were in food service. And she was like, I don't want to work in the food service industry again. And then B, the dual purpose of this job is to meet people who want to buy real estate. And you're probably not buying real estate from your waitress just because of the power dynamic there, right? And she would have been like a bar cart girl at a tennis club, like a country club. And so like old rich dudes play tennis, but they also probably don't want to buy real estate from their waitress, right? And she was like, I really want to work at this Pilates studio because I've taken their classes before and like I really like them. They seem like good people. And then in the week that she was applying, someone left, there was an opening. And so she did the interview and she got the job.
Oh, wow.
So it was like some perfect timing. So she's onboarded. She did her first shift already.
Wow. There she goes.
Yeah. Cool. She gets free classes, which she really enjoys.
Pilates trainer.
She gets free classes. The people working there are super sweet. It's not a high intensity job like working at the Kava Bar in Palm Bay was, because there it's like you have to be attending to customers the entire time. You can't sit down. You don't get a lunch break. None of that. This is essentially like a receptionist / sales job. So when people call, you sign them up for memberships and then like schedule them out to stuff and then you sell them merch, right? They actually have a really interesting business model because the way Pilates works, like the machines that they do, you have to have good grip on your feet, but also be flexible. So you don't wear shoes, you wear socks with rubber padding on them, like grippy socks, right?
Yeah, a Sky Zone sock.
How much do you think a pair of those socks costs?
Their retail or like online through the interweb?
If you buy a pair of socks, so this happens all the time. You schedule a Pilates class, you get there, you forgot your socks at home, you got to pick up another pair real quick before you go into your
$15.
$23.
Oh, wow.
A pair. But they'll buy the sock there because the non-refundable payment for the class is like $70 for a 1-hour class. And so it's worth it to just buy the socks there, then go home. Grace gets like 10 to 20% commission on any sales that she makes. So she sold like $70 or $80 in product in her first few days.
Oh, cool.
Which is like a half an hour extra of pay every pay period, right? So she's really enjoying it. The people there are nice. The customers there are nice. Everybody is like wealthy because no one can pay for $23 of socks or $70 an hour Pilates class without having some money. And so she thinks that it's got like real grounds for like a job to even keep after real estate is paying for everything, because she thinks that she's going to meet a lot of really good connections here.
Cool.
So that's awesome. Super happy for her.
Super cool.
I also went in and renewed my registration for the Camaro. I do it once a year.
I got to do that too. Yeah.
But while I was there, I wanted to get a custom plate for the Lexus.
Oh yeah.
So not only did I get a custom plate for the Lexus, but they said, you're at your 10-year mark with your current license plate on the Camaro, so we have to issue you a new metal plate because the metal plates get worn. And I was like, okay, sounds good to me. And she brought out this random plate and I was like, whoa, I have a special one. And she was like, oh, okay, well, what is it? And then we're going to print out a special one. And I was like, oh, so it's a standard Florida plate and it says 6-speed V8 on it, right? And I was like, can I change it to get the Save Our Springs blue scuba diver plate? Because that's the one I'm getting for the Lexus. And she was like, yeah. So now I have matching blue scuba diver plates. The Camaro says 6-speed V8 and the Lexus says 8-speed V6.
Nice.
And I'm going to get one of the license plate covers for the Camaro too. So they like match perfectly.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's fun.
I dig it.
I'm super
8
excited.
to 6 and 6 and 8.
Yeah, and I actually told her them in the wrong order on accident while we were filling out the paperwork, and we had to redo one of the forms because I was like, I'm so sorry, I confused the two.
Yeah.
But the LC500 will be 10-speed V8.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm so excited.
That's true
when that happens.
Yeah,
and then go ahead.
I got the Save the Turtles plate on the old Beamer, and so I got the Save the Turtles plate on this Beamer too. It's kind of like a reflection of that car. Yeah.
The next Beamer will have
the Porsche and the Miata got the NASCAR plates on them.
Yeah, I thought the NASCAR plates were cool. There's a shocking number of plates that do not look cool, and I don't.
Yeah, that's true. There's like a large volume of like, I would never put this on my car.
Yeah, there is one with a Blue Marlin on it, and I was like, oh, that could match. And then I thought about it, and I was like, I don't really want Blue Marlin stuff on my, like, it's not official Blue Marlin branding, but you can buy car decals to go like across your window or like on your bumper sticker or whatever.
Yeah.
And a lot of these a lot of them have like the big logo and then their name and phone number. And for a while I was like, oh, wouldn't it be so cool to have like a race Miata with decals and like Blue Marlin sponsoring on it? And then I was like, that's probably the fastest way to lose clients, is like people see my name on my car in traffic when I'm like riding their ass or like I blow by them. Probably not ideal. Yeah. But I wound up going with the scuba diver one. I'm super excited to get them.
Cool.
My last update is a Formula One update.
Oh.
I haven't spoken much about the Formula One season recently because it's been kind of ass. It's just McLaren has such a good car that Oscar and Lando are like 30 seconds ahead of everybody in the field. And they go back and forth. Like Oscar has a bad weekend and Lando has a decent weekend. Neither of them have like super clean weekends where there's zero fuck ups like you're used to with Max. And the Red Bull has sucked. So Max is going off and doing GT3 races like I've talked about. He's talking to Toto Wolff with Mercedes. People think he's going to go to Mercedes next year. But Red Bull brought a new floor, and it's all floor ground effects, right? This regulations. And they brought that to Monza, and Max won by the largest duration of the whole season, right? Wow. The most dominant performance was Max in Monza 2 weekends ago, right? And everyone was like, oh, very nice. Plaudits, right? Oscar was on the podium. You know, whatever. It's not like Max is going to win the championship or anything, because Oscar, going into Monza, Oscar was 104 points ahead of Max.
Oh, wow.
Which is a huge, you get 25 points if you win, 18 if you're second place, 16 if you're third, so on, right? So there's no shot that Max can contest with the championship, right? There's 9 races left in the season. Today was the 8th race left in the season. It was Azerbaijan, Baku, which is a street circuit. It's one of my favorite circuits on the track. It's one of the ones that I did like over and over again on the Xbox when I got the F1 game in like 2018. I really love the circuit, and it makes for good racing. And in qualifying, I wrote this after qualifying before I had seen the race this morning. But qualifying was mixed conditions. Usually it doesn't rain in Azerbaijan. It's very dry. It's a desert climate, right? But it was dry for like Q1 and Q2, and then it rained between Q3, and then it like rained in the middle of Q3 again. Just sprinklings, just a little bit, right? There's leaves on the track. It's gusty. It's windy. Super mixed conditions. There were 6 red flags in qualifying, which is a new record for the most red flags in qualifying ever. Everybody's putting it in the fucking wall, right? Everybody's fucking up. And with qualifying, you only have a certain number of tires. So you have like, 4 mediums and 4 softs to get to the end of qualifying. So like, if you're out on track using your mediums in Q2 because you think you can do a good enough lap time to make it to Q3, and then someone crashes in front of you, you have to abort your lap. And now you only have one more lap to do before the end of the session because you're going to run out of time. So now you have to use a pair of softs that you can't use in Q3, right? So like there's a lot of mixed conditions, and it's really easy for people to just be out on the track at the wrong time or run out of tires and like get fucked up, right? Interestingly, Max Verstappen and George Russell preferred to use the medium tires in qualifying because although the soft tires are grippier, they wear faster. And for some of the worst cars, they'll run out of tire by the end of the lap. So if they use the mediums, they get mid but consistent performance across a lap, whereas the softs fall off too quickly. So Max and George used the mediums all through qualifying. And then there was a red flag in Q3 because Charles Leclerc, who has been on pole the last 3 years here, hit the wall.
Oh shit.
Caused a red flag. So that means Max and George are both out of their medium tires, their preference. So now they have one run left. It had just rained during the red flag, so no one knows what the track is like, and there's only time left for one more lap, right? Oscar has, I think he's already crashed out. So it's basically just Lando, George, and Max who are left going for the pole, right? And George and Max are on tires that they have not run in qualifying yet. No one knows what the track conditions are. Lando goes out first, and he's got like a squirrely lap, right? Like he slides, he fucks up. And this is a big deal because Lando is like 30 points behind Oscar in the championship. So Lando can catch Oscar. Oscar just crashed out of quali. Lando can capitalize on this, right? And he doesn't put together a good lap. It's a little too wet. He like is a little too conservative and then like a little too like swirly on exits. Can't do it, right? And then George goes through. He ran the mediums the whole qualifying. He does his first lap on softs. It's not that great, right? And Max qualified half a second ahead of the rest of the field.
Nice.
Off rip, right? And so I was like, I watched it at our open house that we did yesterday, and I was like losing my fucking mind in like the living room while Grace was waiting for people to come through in the kitchen. And I ranted and raved because I was like, dude, if you line these guys up and like pepper spray them and then turn the lights off and then like throw buckets of ice water on them and then push them over into the mud and throw a knife in the middle of them, Max Verstappen will always find it and kill everybody in the pile. Like he is like, it's another one of those performances where you're like, how the fuck is he not in the fastest car this year?
Right.
Like that's crazy. And then today at the race, Oscar hit the wall on lap 1. He accidentally jumped the start and he had super cold tires and he just hit the wall. So like championship leader's out. He's going to DNF. Great opportunity for Lando to score points, right? Max is in the lead. Max wins from the lead. Grand Slam weekend, right? Fastest lap, pole, led every lap, wins. And Lando Norris can't get past the midfield cars and he finishes 7th. So Lando only closes the gap to Oscar by 6 points and Max takes 25 out. So now, Max is 69 points behind Oscar, the championship leader, which is so unrealistic for a championship win. But like now everybody's freaking out. Justin, like 3 months ago, Justin was like, Red Bull is not fast enough. Max can't do it. And I was like, you would be a fool to bet against Max Verstappen. If you put $100 on Max Verstappen in Poly Market right now and he wins, you get $5,000. Are you not going to put $100 down on Max Verstappen? And Justin was like, no, he can't do it, right? And now I texted Justin this morning and I was like, what did I tell you? It can happen. So that's why fully delusional. But it was another one of those performances in qualifying that I had to call out because it was just fucking incredible.
That's very cool.
Yeah, that's my life update. What's your business update?
Business update is, so wanted to mention the consultation calls that I had.
Yeah.
So I got a few people interested in just hourly. Like they're interested in e-commerce or they're currently in e-commerce and they want advice or help getting started or getting through X issue.
Yeah.
And I have resources and experience with, the ground level to where I am.
Yeah.
And so with that, I can help and leverage my skill set with. So for those, I'm offering $70 for an hour phone call.
Okay.
Plus like text messaging throughout the week. Like if you got a question, text me, whatever.
Yeah.
So essentially $70 a week from like 2 to 3 people. I think 2 are like definitively locked in. One, I still is kind of working through a couple things. So that would be at minimum, maybe $140 a week, which is nice. And then for the consulting call, I had someone who was interested in having me run their ads and their ad accounts and essentially like help building a scaling protocol within that and running their advertisements as well as giving them suggestions.
Yeah.
What I kind of started to realize was this might be a variant on like this is probably going to end up being a variant on like a second business from how much I saw that they were going to start trying to pull out of the deal. It felt like the kind of deal that might be like, I get in there and have like a set number of things I'm doing, but then they're like, hey, but what about this? But what about this? But what about this? But what about this? And it will quickly turn into a 9-to-5 replacement that would only pay $2,500 a month versus $4,000.
Right.
And so I didn't axe that deal. I said, I'm currently busy with other clients that have shown interest in advertising and e-commerce specific mentorship.
Got it.
I have to be respectful of them having taken my offer first, and let's talk again in a month.
Okay.
And that works out because they're also doing a website revamp right now.
Got it.
And so I essentially put that deal on hold to see how things are panning over the next month.
Yeah.
So I didn't axe it, but I didn't say yes immediately. And so, but they at this point, they're definitely interested. Because I made them a good offer, because they were like really they've worked with other marketers, and they're like, we want to pay you by performance. And I was like, I'm cool with that. But
your current business is paying you by performance, though. Like your dropshipping business pays you by performance.
Yeah. But the people I was going to do marketing for, they were going to pay me by performance.
You're right, but that's essentially what your business is. So it's like another one of your businesses.
Yeah, it would be another one of that. Yeah. And like I was almost cool with it. But the reason I was like, I don't know how I feel about that model, because I don't know how you want to generate leads. Do you want to generate leads to a VSL? Do you want to generate leads to a cold call? Do you want to throw them to a landing page? Do you want to have them DM you personally? Right? There's a lot of variables.
How do you measure your success?
So how do you measure success there? Right? I can get you leads, but then it's about quality of leads.
That's the problem with Tyler. And I mentioned this to Tyler the other day because he was like, "Oh, dude, Xander quit his job." And I was like, "I know." And he was like, "Yeah." I was talking to him about it, and he's like, "He's doing super well." And I was like, yeah. Tyler was like, he could like run Facebook ads for other companies. And I was like, I actually told him about the Facebook data that you showed me. And he was like, what do you mean? And I was like, because it's super weak and you could really use Sander's services. And he was like, it's not super weak. We spent like $100 and it got in front of like 60,000 people. And I was like, and how many of those people converted? And he was like, a lot. And I was like, what percentage? And he was like, I don't have like an exact percentage. And I was like, you don't know anything because you don't know how to quantify your metrics. Yeah. You think, but you don't know. But working with someone like Sander, he can definitely tell you. And that's what you're telling me now with these other consulting people is the exact same situation.
Yeah. And so essentially what I told them, the offer I made was, I don't want to do, I feel comfortable with that. I can help you grow your advertising and your marketing.
Yeah.
I think that the concern is that you guys don't feel as though I have skin in the game when you start by paying me flat out with nothing to show for it in your particular business. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I'll do this. If we work together, the first 2 weeks will be an onboarding with whoever your videographer is, whoever currently is doing your marketing, in order to get us all on the same page about strategy and trajectory for the business. And that would be 2 to 3 calls a week, an hour a piece, where we just discuss the framework of where we are and where we're going to go. That'd be the first 2 weeks. So this is where I'm getting to it.
Got it.
And then after that point, we would begin frameworking advertisements and set up the accounts. And I will do that for free, pending that you like the way that I work and operate. And then the next month we will start at $2,500. And so
$2,500
a month
for
the first
3 calls a week,
completely free, zero risk to them. Essentially, I was like, because I was thinking through the deal on the phone, and I was like, the rate at which refunds are requested based on physical services is incredibly low, especially if you deliver some level of product. Mm-hmm. So the probability of me working for free for a month and then them not paying me the $2,500 for another month is extremely low, just flat out.
Right.
Additionally, I haven't met anyone or worked with anyone yet who has just like despised the way that I work and operate. Mm-hmm. And so I think that the probability that they at least see that I'm putting through effort and growing them in some avenue of their marketing of choice, I think that probability is high.
Yeah.
And therefore it's high they would at least renew for a month.
Yeah.
Right. And even on the base level, they're getting 2 months of work for the price of 1.
Yeah.
Right. And so and then I was thinking, I was like, if that were to start right in November, right, by December, that would be the first month that I hit. And also by December, I'll know how the e-com is going. Right. So these 2 things can line up kind of well in case I need it.
That's your last month of money, provided you sell the BMW.
Yes. Right. And so I was kind of lining those up, and I was like, how do I structure this? How do I give myself enough leeway and time in order to assess this deal and assess the other mentorship stuff I have going on?
Yeah.
And that's like really quite passive. Essentially, I sent them a bunch of materials, and I was like, hey, we can spend the first month or 2 working through these materials and planning for them. And it's 3 people, 1 hour phone call a week. So it's 3 hours of my time versus I'm freeing up right now like 50 plus. So it's 3 hours of my time for potentially 150, 200 bucks a week, which would be, somewhere in the neighborhood of, 500 bucks, 750 bucks, something like that. 500 bucks, 800 bucks. The math is around there.
Yeah.
A month, right? So that's just a little bit of a float. You know what I mean? Plus the BMW. So it's like I got a couple safety nets kind of incorporated into the next few months.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to bring on a consulting deal and then get into a situation where it's super, super burdensome.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to my goal being to scale the business into Q4. So I didn't want to do that trade. So I pushed the consulting deal to the tailer end of Q4,
right,
in terms of preparation, in order to give me the time to assess how things are going and growing,
right,
and then I can make a more informed decision then.
Yeah.
And it also lines up with their website redevelopment. So it kind of worked out in two ways.
So it'll be the first month free, and then
$2,500 a month to manage the ad accounts, to scale spend up and down, effectively analyze metrics, and give hook ideas for advertisements, as well as messaging body ideas.
Got it.
For new content to film.
And are those weekly deliverables? Do you have multiple meetings?
It would be once a week.
For 1 hour meeting a week?
1 hour meeting a week to go those deliverables.
Got it. So you can work in your own time and put as many hours as you needed.
Yeah, it would likely be an afternoon meeting with the morning me going through that. So it'd be essentially 1 day a week.
Got it.
Right?
So you do it in the morning, then report in the afternoon.
Right. And I'd analyze all their metrics, right? And then it would be probably every day or every other day, I would just briefly look at the ad account and make sure that it's running. And, at this, I know where to look for stuff in order to analyze how to scale up or down.
Yeah.
And so that process, whereas before I'd have a bunch of questions when I was starting out, at this point, it's like the back of my hand. I can look at an ad account in 5 minutes and understand, what to scale up, what to scale down, and what to potentially test next. What's working, what's not working, what's getting spend, but it's being used as retargeting, right? I have that frame, and that can very quickly, I can assess that quickly. To someone new, it might take them a lot of questions and figuring shit out. But to me, I've ran so many different tests and run so many different styles and campaigns, and it's done so many different case studies of different campaign styles. And I actually have another case study I want to do.
Are they also e-commerce, that business?
No. They're a SaaS business that is utilized in service-based businesses like appliance places or plumbers, electricians, or service-based businesses. A SaaS company.
Got it.
And essentially, they're utilizing the appliance company as a beta tester for the SaaS program, and then they want to create advertisements that essentially use the appliance business as the proof and the SaaS business as the vehicle to sell.
Got it.
Right? And so that's what they're trying to connect the dots on. And also, a lot of the leverage that I've been able to have too is just my general experience with AI and playing around with all the different AIs out there. And Claude AI I just find is really, really good for script writing and stuff like that. And so that can really be a great lever that I can pull if I work with them, right? To kind of help me out in the process as well.
Tyler told me, he was like, oh yeah, I talked to Sandra because I had questions about the acquisition.com AI. And it's it looks like it's super valuable. And so I called the acquisition guy and I asked if I could buy it, and he said no. And so then I asked him can you just sell it to me anyways? And he was like, I have to go talk to someone else. But then I think that guy's going to come back and say no too. And I was like, yeah, that's why you should have called into the live stream.
Yeah.
You had 3 days to buy it. And he was like, well, why wouldn't he sell it afterward? And I was like, well, then what's the incentive to buy it during the live event?
Yeah.
And he was like, well, you could sell it during the live event and then still offer it afterward, right?
And piss off all the people who bought it at the live.
Yeah. I was like, you could piss off all the people at the live event, but also consider this. And this is what I think, how I would approach it, right?
Yeah.
Because he also said that you could only buy specific stuff during the live event, and then he still offered it afterward for a duration of time, right? So some of it was false urgency, and that's fine. That's a sales tactic. If you're only going to buy it because of the urgency, then reconsider why you're buying it at all, right? But then I was like, consider this, right? AI is so new in its development that essentially Hormozi is beta testing with a really low entry point. $6,000 a person is low when it compares to this type of, or two, how much was it?
$6,000, but it was a lot more than GPA for $6,000. So, but you could say $6,000.
Well, the other,
to get access to it, $6,000.
right. The other products he has are basically data dumps of his notes from meetings he's done with in the entrepreneurs, right? The AI is a tool and a product that needs to be developed, and he needs feedback on to improve. So if you give it to a limited audience who has significant skin in the game and will give you real feedback, you can then improve it for the next iteration of ChatGPT 10, right? Acquisition AI version 2. That's so way better that you could sell it for $40,000.
Yeah.
Right? But if everybody buys the $6,000 version, then nobody's going to have the money to buy the $40,000 version, right? But if you keep it limited to a small pool, or you can sell the way better one for a more attainable price point that more people buy. So like there's a couple different ways to do it. And I think Tyler was just bummed that he couldn't get it. But I was like, A, pay attention when I send you shit. And then B, like think of it from other perspectives, because there's other ways to market this, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah.
I like these little, trying to figure out like how we also were trying to figure out, Shireen is back. She's marketing for Pauhana now. And they had an event this week. It was another one of their raves. And so she and I were talking about different marketing methods, like why were the raves super popular the first year? And like, why are they not so popular now? What's changed? What can you do to improve it? And we had like a great 40-minute discussion about it. And she was like, I didn't know that you were interested in this kind of stuff. And I was like, it's almost only what I'm interested in. It's just like different marketing methods. And that's most of my business update.
Oh, cool.
But it's interesting to me that Tyler has a business, but doesn't like obsess over these things. I don't know. I guess I always just assume that business owners are like-minded in the way that we think about these types of things, but
I think it's
less common.
I think a lot of business owners obsess about something. It's just like, what do they obsess about? Like, I think that naturally business owners will gravitate towards something, but it's just like, is that a high leverage or a low leverage opportunity?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I mean, I can't control what I obsess over, right? I don't want to wake up every morning thinking about the LC500, but I do, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to obsess about it. It's kind of like my thoughts on religion. Like you can't control who you fall in love with in the same way that you can't control what religion you believe in, because belief is similar to love in that it's an irrational feeling that you have and can't control. And so I think that obsession or like special interests that like autistic people have work the same way. Like, have you ever seen the train guy on YouTube? He puts the GoPro on his face and stands above like trains, right? He fucking can't control that he likes that, right?
Yeah.
He likes what he likes in the same way that I like LC500s and marketing tactics and stuff like that.
Yeah, strategies.
Yeah.
You don't have a pen, do you? I was going to write down, I wanted to go over a case study thing, but I had another note. Or actually, I don't know. We'll see. But Mason to the rescue.
The Marlin pen.
Case study.
It's the nicest pen that you'll ever write with. Have you ever seen that stuff where it's like, sell me this pen, right? And they're like, oh, it's like it's a heavy weight. It feels durable in your hand and the ink lasts for days or whatever. And like the real answer is like, you hand them a sheet of paper and you're like, would you sign your name for me? And then they go, I don't have a pen. And you're like, I've got a solution.
Yeah.
Right. That's how you sell a pen. Do you have one? Yeah. Do you want it?
Yeah.
$5.
I just bought a pen. I'm screwed.
Yeah.
So I also wanted to mention, I want to do another actually case study on how Facebook kind of runs ads internally. At this point, I'm confident that generally two broad campaigns in the same ad account competing against each other is a bad idea without restrictions. I've also concluded that trying to push ABO spend on a ad or on an ad set inside of one campaign without changing any other of the targeting is just going to result in Facebook just using that ad only for retargeting and spending as little as possible. If it doesn't want to spend that initially, putting a minimum amount that it has to spend on it doesn't necessarily help. But what I'm thinking is that if a majority of my targeting right now is 55 plus, what if I run test campaigns or test ad sets that are 55 and under only, age restricted?
Okay.
And I run because I'm going to be forming some new ads based on some other stuff in here as well that I'll go through. But the new ads I want to create, I want to market much towards a like a woman, a mother, not a woman, like a mother audience.
Got it.
Yeah. What is a woman? But like a much more like mother audience.
Like a younger mother.
Yeah, like 35-ish.
Got it.
Right in that range. And so if my entire campaign is optimized around people who are 55 plus,
right?
If it tries to target an ad that's designed for someone 35 to a 55 plus audience, it may not effectively spend money on that ad because it doesn't meet the same style of optimized audience that the winner is running right now.
Right.
And so that's something that I want to test, both at the separate campaign level, but also just at the ad set budget optimization level within the same campaign.
So to clarify on having two competing campaigns, is that two campaigns with the same ad sets and spend in them?
No, two competing campaigns would be two campaigns that are marketing the same product and are running ads with the same link and are fighting over the same group of audiences because there are no restrictions on the audiences and it's just broad. Everywhere. And because they're both utilizing the same pixel data, this is something else I want to play with. Because they're both utilizing the same pixel data, they're both targeting a 55 plus audience right now for me.
Right.
And so therefore they're fighting. What I want to do is utilize the same pixel, not change anything about the pixel. But I want to run a separate campaign that's 55 and under. Because I know that my current campaign is mostly targeting 55 plus, like 85% is 55 plus.
Got it.
And so if I run something that's 55 and under, I probably won't run into as many attribution data issues from sales.
Got it.
And I'll also get a better idea of how my ads perform to a different market, like concretely perform to a different market. Because right now, the spend is so low and the data is so volatile that I can't get good readings on what Facebook is trying to figure out.
Yeah.
And so I want to just slightly restrict Facebook. And then run something with a ton of new ads in it that are completely revamped. And what I realized...
Just different pixels?
No, same pixel.
Same pixel.
But because the pixel has some data about 55 and under,
and
but the majority of what...
Real quick, pixel isn't like a digital square in the frame.
No, yeah. So pixel is it's a data vehicle.
Yeah, it's a plugin.
Yeah. And so... that pixel has been gathering data over the last 7 months. So I want to utilize it.
Right.
But if I'm testing something over the course of a week, right, I'm not too worried about attribution data issues because although it's gathered data over 7 months, 85% of that data gathered has been 55 plus, 15% of that data has been 55 and under.
Right.
Right. But 7 months of 15% is a good amount of data for a week or 2 weeks.
7 months of 15% of 7 months.
So yeah, so got it. 15% of the total audience reached over 7 months.
Yep.
Is a good amount of data and people. Right. And so on a week or 2 week time horizon, that's enough data to inform how to target for mothers specifically.
Right.
The problem is that if I just run it all broad, that small segment over the course of 1 or 2 weeks is very, very fuzzy.
Right.
And so I want to essentially leverage the data that has been gathered about that specific audience over the last 7 months. And then I want to leverage that data into a 1 or 2 week test where my new ads will specifically target that data gathered over the last 7 months, that smaller 15% chunk, but over the course of 7 months.
Right.
And so that's essentially what I'm looking at right now, both at a campaign level test and a ad set budget optimization test.
Got it.
So that's where I'm heading. But additionally, the branding person I'm working with was the only person that was able to point out why my winning ad was good in any respect. Right.
Well, the lady that you met.
Yeah.
Do it too, right?
That's what I'm talking about.
That's what you're talking about. Okay, got it.
Oh, did it on the podcast last week?
She.
Oh man, I guess this is an update too. I hired her.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Okay.
I don't. Okay, yeah.
You last left off. You were scheduling a call with her.
I thought that was last week. Yeah, that was this week. Holy smokes. Yeah. So I hired her on.
Yeah.
At
so what are you paying her?
Flat rate $2,000 a month. No. Just flat rate to do this project.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No like brackets on that. Like no.
So there
how do you quantify? Like when did she stop working for you?
So I'll go through that. So it's a 4-week program. So it's essentially a month, but it's going to be in depth. Her looking at what my branding is right now, what my market is right now, what my targeted desires and personas are, and then incorporating that into what she knows about trends, design, the influence of color into branding, and comparing it to other companies out there and their branding to develop a personal brand for my company that I will then A/B test against what I have today.
Got it.
And so that's what the process is going through right now. And so I'll get into more detail about that as well as part of my business today. But yeah, that was this week. So I paid her $2,000 flat, and then she's $70 an hour.
Got it.
And so that's why I made my mentorship price $70 an hour.
Makes sense.
Because if I can even get one out of the 3 people, then I can pay for once a week calls just flat. Right.
And that's easy.
Yeah. And so essentially, I'm going to be going through that kind of audience style case study. And I'm also going to be revamping the style of advertisement that I make. So last night, I put out a test where I took the winning ad and I literally added different text blurb hooks on the front of it for the first 5 seconds.
Got it.
And then I did a bunch of different filter changes to change the coloration of the ad.
Yeah.
So it feels different to an audience, but it's essentially the same ad.
Right.
And I put that out there just as like how I've been putting out tests in the same way, because I wanted to see how Facebook allocated spend to something that is essentially the same, but slightly different. Very interesting. The spend is incredibly low. It is actually lower than a lot of the other tests that I've put out there before this. Well, and that is a replica of the winning ad.
This is consistent with what we had hypothesized the other day, which is that once Facebook sees a winner, it'll intentionally bully the other ads. Yeah. And so one of the theories was if you make an exact copy of the winning ad, it won't do as well because Facebook has already preferred the other one, right?
Exactly what I am trying to prove.
Right. Well, and the filter, I mean, I would assume it's close enough to the actual ad that it's not.
One of them is the same ad. It's just slightly more vibrant.
Yeah.
Like that's like I turned up saturation and like made the contrast like slightly higher. And like that's kind of it.
And that I think should be, I'm analyzing that as confirmation that Facebook doesn't actually pick the best ad and then show you the best ad. Facebook picks its best ad and then sticks with that.
Facebook picks what it has confidence in.
Right.
And it can only have confidence after a certain amount of allocated spend and data across it.
Right. And then it's a positive feedback loop.
Right. Exactly. And then if by chance a winner does start to break out, Facebook will still judge it very, very harshly.
Yep.
And you have to create an ad that's so much better or so much different. And then, Hormozy talks about this in the 13 years of advertising video, as well as some of his other stuff. Winners decide to win. And that's like fundamentally what it is. Like winners just decide to win. You know what I mean? There may not be there are techniques and strategies and stuff that you can do to greatly increase the probability that you find a winner. But at the end of the day, a lot of it is about volume because something might be tweaked in there, or it might get that one share or hit that one person that then allows Facebook or whatever to spend it a little bit more in this avenue, and then it picks up.
Yeah.
Right. And so winners, like from your view, just decide to win most of the time. And that's what he talks about. He talks about that in the playbooks too. So like, it's not just like a YouTube pitch that he's like running with. So like, just like kind of throw that out there and be like, just do more. But like, even in the playbooks, which were a $6,000 offer, like he's like, winners just decide to win, produce volume.
Oh, you're saying winners like people, not winners like the winning ad.
No, winners like the ad.
But the winner, if you give Facebook 10 different ads at once and say, go find the winner, I would have more confidence that it can find the winner from that. Once it has one of the 10 and you go, okay, I'm going to take away 9 and give you a fresh 9, it's biased. Yeah, it's not going to analyze those next 9.
So I didn't tie this in effectively. So yeah, I didn't tie this in effectively. Winners decide to win because of some sort of key component within them, right? Once that winner is found, you have to have a framework built in to essentially push Facebook to find the next winner. And you can't the umbrella campaign does work if you just want to bank on creating an ad that is so much better and essentially bank on chance. Just like it's a very chance approach to like the winner. right? And finding that one ad that just decides to win, right? I'm trying to leverage the data that I have and the structure that I have and use all the case studies previously in order to determine what my next case study and approach and structuring method is going to be to utilize the data that I have and utilize the frameworks, but also give that opportunity, because separate campaigns both under broad has not worked effectively. Just pushing ABO testing has not worked effectively. Duplicating the winner even has shown right now to not be very effective, right? And so it is just prioritizing that ad, because I put out ads out there that last night that were replicas of the winner with like some very, very, very small changes and others with very small changes. Like the level of change that I incorporated is tiny.
Right.
And so
It should be performing the same, or Facebook
should be performing the same.
Yeah.
So it's just down to what Facebook has confidence in, and it's optimized for that ad, and it doesn't want to risk on anything else unless it sees it as like crazy better.
Right.
Right. And every week that level of crazy better gets higher and higher and higher because it optimizes more and more and more.
Yep.
And so right now, you know, I'm kind of developing into this new style of framework that I talked about, you know, a little bit. And I still kind of have it's still a little bit rough in terms of exactly how I'm going to strategize and approach it. But the reason I get into this is the ads that I want to create are of a different flavor. And I want those ads to run effectively to a rebranded site, because I think that part of the pull right now, and I was talking about this with the branding woman that I'm working with, she was like, right now, that ad that wins, it does have really great color contrast, but it is clear to her, it was clear that it was for an older audience because it's slower paced. It's very, very simple.
Yeah.
Right. And the page that I'm running is also very, very simple. And it's not eye capturing to a younger audience, being like 35-ish, right? Plus or minus.
Right.
And so she was like, it makes sense why everything is starting to optimize around this 55 plus audience. And I was like, yeah, it does make sense. But I want to ensure that when I do a split test, that I effectively target a younger audience, because that's like the bigger bank of people to pull from in terms of like an audience, right? It would be like moms. Like that would be a primary target audience if you could actually effectively, you know, cater to them.
Right.
And so I want to ensure that when I do the rebrand, I do want to A/B test it just flat out, no changes, to see what happens. But I want to also test effectively between when this rebrand is catered to mothers specifically, how does it perform? And that's when I started developing that framework idea of like, how about I leverage the data I have over the last 7 months, that small 15% segment, condense that data down to just optimize for something over the course of a week or 2 weeks, which is a standard test period, with a new framework of advertising that I feel like is very, very catered to that audience. And I'm getting that framework from two places. One, I'm getting it from the marketing person I'm working with, who has a really good sense on design and color language is like kind of how I would phrase it.
Got it.
And so I'm getting that from her. She's sending me presentations and advertisements that do it really, really well and explaining to me why they work. For example, are you familiar with slime? That like goop that's multicolored, and sometimes they put like objects in it. It's like ASMR style video where they just like wrap up. It's like
okay.
Think of what,
it's like silly putty?
Yeah, but it's like much more fluid. It's like, do you know when you go to the aquarium and you have like the plastic balls and you could like squish them and squeeze them and they'd have stuff inside of them, like little toys inside of them, and it was like a goop
kind of picture,
right?
Yeah.
You ever have one of those break?
Yes.
Right. So it's like that stuff.
Elizabeth broke one in my parents' living room once.
Yeah.
And we had to like clean it out of the carpet and stuff.
It's like that, but it's more cleanable than that, right?
Got it.
That's what slime is. But slime is not a particularly like crazy, product, right? It's essentially slime goop that you can form into different things, throw different stuff in it, and it's just kind of like fun, right? It's not anything like crazy out of the box, right? Mm-hmm. But she was sending me these videos, and she was like, these kill because of the coloration, because of like the ASMR style. And also what I noticed in all the reels she sent me was that the maximum clip length for any given smaller like clip within a 20-second ad, the max was 1.5 seconds.
Yeah.
So it's like goop, change, and then it's like squeezing, change, and then it's like pulling through this, and then it's adding something in here, and then it's like it's constantly changing, and it's all vivid in color capturing.
That's Mr. Beast videos are a great reflection of this, because the reason Mr. Beast is successful, and he has attributed it to this, is he would go watch the most successful YouTube videos, and then he would analyze down to like, what is the average frame length of a clip? And then at what point in the video is that average frame length clipping? And then what is the most popular like video transition used? And at what frequency, like what is the duration of those changes? And then he would replicate that in his videos that would do well. And then he would iterate from there. And so like he would literally break it down to like color contrast, frame length, how long is the intro to your video? Is there an intro to your video? How long is your face on screen versus the thing you're looking at?
Yeah.
And his videos are super, super fast paced and really bright and colorful.
Yeah. So that's so essentially what I'm paying her $2,000 for is not only the website build out with her skill set in the branding, but also to understand and train my eye why stuff works.
Right.
Because I haven't been able to figure out why this ad works for the last 7 months. Part of it has been just Facebook optimization, right? But part of it, there are key components that had that ad even win initially to some extent.
Well, it was put up against other ads at the time while Facebook was still neutral, and then it won out over those.
Yes. Yeah.
What would be interesting is if you have those on hand still, can you show her those, or you see yourself and see, is there, this one is clearly more vibrant or clearly more whatever.
And so I looked back at those, and they were, the other ads there were much blander in color. They were of similar, like very, very simple basic style, because essentially they're like TikTok replicas. Yeah. That's essentially what they are. But they were a blander in coloration and style. And so I do have those. I look back at those and I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to put out, so this is kind of like my overarching perspective. I'm going to put out variations of the winning ad that have higher color, different filters, right? To test that in the campaign to see how the spend differentiates. Also testing how the campaign allocates spend to something that's literally a replica. And I'm going to also add text hooks because that's an easy test to do. I can produce more volume and give Facebook more chances to spend and look at these different variations on the winner.
Yeah, give it more opportunities to confirm what we already know.
Right. But I want to test massive volume because I want consistency in the data.
Right.
And so that was test one. Okay, I've confirmed that it's definitely prioritizing optimization based to that ad. It's not that my ads are just complete dog shit, what I'm putting out there. What I'm putting out there is not wonderful because it has key components that it's missing, but it's not as terrible as Facebook is telling me that it is.
Right.
That's the second thing. Next thing was, okay, if I'm going to be marketing towards mothers and rebranding towards mothers, I need an effective strategy in order to ensure that my ads also give fair allocation to that specific branded site. Right. And so let me rephrase that because that was confusing. Essentially, I need a framework in Facebook to where when they click on an ad that I create that now is going to be more colorful, more mom-centric, more a little bit fast-paced clip, more fun like that. Yeah. I need those ads to be given a fair shot to target to the right people, mothers, not 55 plus, but 55 and under. And I need that traction to go to this rebranded site. And I also, that she's creating, and I also want to test the rebranded site against my current site with the 55 plus audience.
Got it.
And so two things, right? So that's when I started thinking about, okay, what is the structure going to look like, right? And so now I'm thinking about, okay, I have a lot of different ideas for what to film for these new ads that are going to have better color. Some of the ideas, and this is part of like the reason where I was like, I'm just going to jump for it, Q4, because it's like, okay, I want to drive to the Florida Tech Gardens and film in there. I want to get up for the sunrise at the beach and film there. I want to maybe go to the West Coast and film sunset style there or different scenery there, right? There's a lot of beautiful stuff out on the West Coast. Also different parts of the East Coast, right? So I want to do a little bit of traveling and filming as well to film in different locations, different styles, different colorations, different areas. And I also want to really dive into the AI side of things that can pull a lot of amazing color, because of what I've noticed, what I found through the Facebook stuff is I was researching for grandparents specifically, mind you, but a lot of I was very shocked at how low quality the AI stuff was on these Facebook groups, and it was still causing crazy engagement.
Right.
Because there was just down to messaging, like it was simple messaging that was heartfelt. But also I went back into that and I was like, there are a lot of awesome colors in all of these.
Yeah.
Like pop, they've vibrant. And so I was like, okay, cool. That's something maybe I can test AI. And so I have all these things I want to test, and I'm like, sitting back now, I'm like, I got 2 months where I had the opportunity to scale this with little downside and infinite upside. Might as well shoot for it. And so that's the structure I'm building out. And so I'm essentially paying her to help me through this process.
Right.
What I did this week with her was I sent her all of the research and the data and the different stuff that I've gathered thus far. And I also built her 2 different AI programs to run. I built her a custom GPT with all that data in it in order to help her through the rebrand process. Right. And I also incorporated the different stuff that she sent me so that she already has that data incorporated into there. And I also built one in Claude AI because I really like that. Right. Claude AI for creative purposes.
Yeah.
So I built her those 2 and also sent her all the documents as a framework, foundational establishment of like, this is where we're at. Right. And so I anticipate this first week and into this next week is going to be a lot of just digging into the foundation, where I'm at, where I'm going, and why, right? And then the next 3 weeks are going to be essentially like eye training, for a lack of a better term, development, and the rebranding, right? Based off of the learnings and the foundation that's been built now. Right. That's what these next 3 weeks are going to be.
Yeah.
And part of why I'm interested in this rebranding too is I was looking at the data for the conversion rate optimization test I did between the legacy bundle and the standard. And I also had other people look at the legacy bundle site and tell me what they thought it was. And what I found out was that my perception of what seems obvious is incredibly confusing because I live in it and they don't.
Right.
And so what I also want to do is utilize that learnings to inform how the rebrand is going to go. I want the rebrand to be eye-capturing and colorful and enjoyable. I want the site to be enjoyable to visit because it's vibrant. It feels fun. It feels, like this is something. The branding. I want the branding to be so strong that even if the product is offered on Amazon, that people want to still buy from me. Because they get something more out of shopping with me, right? I want that chain to be so strong, right? And that gives a big lever also for raising prices in the future, right? If you can develop a very strong brand, then you can price differently, right? And so there's a lot of levers that can be activated from a really good rebrand. And so that's what I'm looking at here. And what I realized was the legacy bundle fundamentally should have sold relatively well, right? And it's performing about the same or just under. But what I realized is that people who were looking at the site didn't realize that the booklet came with it. It wasn't clear. The images, I realized every single time I went to show someone what the product was, I scrolled like 5 images over to one of the images I had. And I was like, why the fuck am I not putting this first? Every time I tell someone about it, I scroll all the way over here to show them.
Yeah, it's in all of them, but it's not like center stage.
But something that I look at a lot in just general advertising and website is above the fold. And what above the fold is when they land on a site or when they go to a page or when they see something, what is the first thing they see without having to touch anything? Right? That's above the fold. Below the fold would be like if you have to scroll or swipe, right? And so what I realized was a lot of the stuff that should be information above the fold was below the fold. And so that information I want to incorporate into this next rebranding and understanding that baseline. And also she's going to be the visual development side of it. And then I'm going to be kind of like how do we make this effective based on like the CRO stuff that I've understood. And she also has that side to her. So we're going to collaborate on that end of things as well. Right. So that's something I've been looking at. A lot of work went into this week doing that, as well as just general brand development and me building that AI side of things out for her to make her life easier, right? As well as, part of my week was taken up just by the mentorship phone calls. And kind of establishing a framework for just like one-on-one mentorship passively. And also it's cool because, a lot of the people I would be, or the two locked in, I believe, and 3 potentially total people that I would be mentoring by the hour are people who are starting out. And as I grow and progress, my information set will become more and more valuable to them, right? And so I think $70 an hour, like that's a fair price for me to dive in depth to resources, look at your stuff, look at your product, look at your account, look at your ads, and give you a baseline framework and also utilize the resources I have in order to help you, right? Sending you notes or, different approaches or different tools that I've found to be useful, right? I think that's fair.
You could also frame it as like I'll help you get off the ground and up to cruising altitude for $70 an hour. But past that, if you want like the super technical stuff, the price goes up. But by then you're going to be making money on it anyways. So like the perceived value will be the same. Because right now, not making any money is $70 for an hour might feel like kind of tough to pay for. You know, $200 an hour in 6 months will feel the same way, where you're generating revenue from the site. So it's still not like a comfortable price to pay, but it still is.
That's why I added messaging in there. And how I framed it is essentially for $10 a day, you get access to someone who has a 6-figure e-commerce business and has scaled it in the last 7 months to become profitable.
Right.
That's how I framed it.
Right.
Right. And I mean, it's nothing that's not truthful.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all just the fact, but it's about how you deliver it. You know, it's $10 a day to get access to someone who's built a 6-figure e-com business in the last 7 months and has a wealth of information and directed knowledge to share with you to help you grow and scale into e-commerce.
Yeah.
Right. And so for that, you know, I think that's a pretty good offer. So I was working some of those this week as well.
So what were you paying your mentor when you started?
$200 a week. And that's where
Got it. So that would be equivalent to like 3 hours, 3 of yours a week. Yeah. 3 calls a week. And how often would you talk to your mentor?
It was mostly just text messaging with an occasional call here and there, depending. Right now,
you think it's comparable?
In terms of what?
The product that you got from your mentor and what you paid versus the product you're giving to these people and what they're paying.
I'm not. Okay. Sorry. I
like they're basically you a year.
I think that my offer is fair. And I think I do provide them a lot of value. I think I'm underpriced. I honestly am. I'm sure my mentor knows this. He's way underpriced.
Got it.
He's at the level where he should be charging more, and he knows that.
Mm-hmm.
I got in by chance with him because of that guy from the school group who then forwarded me to him, and then I got in really, really early on like a beta test of his mentorship where he just wants to help because he has plenty of money, but he's just interested in helping.
Right.
And so I am very, very, very lucky. That is like at the end of the day, like that's fundamentally the only.
Does he charge more for other people now? New people?
He's not taking on any new people.
Got it.
He's just doing his own thing. And like, I'm like one of 3 people that just like happened to connect with this guy.
Got it.
I just got really lucky. Like that's at the end of the day, like that's it.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and so it's really easy to reframe like where you were a year ago purchasing service, like consultations from someone, you're now receiving payment for giving your consultation. So I'm wondering how the two compare, where it's like, are you providing the same service he did for the same rate of pay, or are you getting paid more or less? I'm just curious.
I'm trying to do more because my skill set's not as great as his is.
Right.
But I'm also not selling anything that I'm not.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to provide really good one-on-one kind of like voice note style text messages and stuff like that. And the voice notes are quicker for me too.
Yeah.
You know, like I did a voice note the other day. Someone had a question for me and they did a voice note to me. I listened to it in the car and then I responded in the car while I was driving.
Do you do ChatGPT prompts with voice?
I haven't played with that yet.
I listened to a Tom Ferry podcast. He's a real estate podcaster with Gary V, who you know.
Yep.
And Gary V like started ranting. And he was like, there's a lot of old people that had been in the industry for 20 years in real estate with like a consistent client base. And now they're getting beaten by younger people because they're on social media. Old people don't know how to make social media. Here's a really easy fix for that. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. And he pulls out his phone and he just like rambles to ChatGPT for like 2.5 minutes. The TLDR is basically like, find me a real estate podcast that I can go on and answer questions that when they post it, I can take clips and put that on my social media because they know how to make social media and I don't. So I'm just going to have them do it for me as a guest and then I'll post it on my social media, right? But I can't do it with a top podcast because I'm nobody, so they're not going to have me on. So ChatGPT, find me podcasts that are in like the ranked 50th to 100th realm that I can reach out to, give me their email. He put all that in like a 2.5 minute voice note and gave it to ChatGPT and then it spit all that out. But Gary Vee made mistakes. He was like, oh, I in my career, I've been working for 7 years and I've sold $100 million in real estate. I want to do this and that. And actually, never mind. Go back and do the other thing. Like he made corrections in his voice note, full like sped rambling, like just fucking crazy, like speeding through it. And ChatGPT like fucking nailed it.
Yeah. That is really, really cool. I haven't played with that yet. I should, but essentially what I'm thinking is like, I think that for 3 hours a week, if I can make $200 and genuinely deliver a product that is helpful to people,
right?
Because they're at, step 1 or step 5 and I'm at step 15,
Right.
right? Out of an infinite number of steps, right? But like if I can provide value there, if they're happy to pay $10 a day to get customized, voice notes and information and the learnings that I've had, then I'm happy to give that to them.
How do you receive payment?
Just a bank transfer.
Zelle?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Something similar. Zelle, PayPal, Cash App.
Cool.
I'm gonna try to push. For now, I've been doing just bank transfer for Wise because it's business oriented.
Direct wire?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But also PayPal works just fine because I have a business PayPal.
Got it.
But if they have another preference, then I'll sort it out from there.
Cool.
But for now, it's been bank transfer has been fine. But that's what I worked a little bit of this week. So I also had a meeting with someone who does kind of meta structuring this week. And they talked about some similar things that we talked about as well. And so they were going to get back to me. They were going to talk to their team and get back to me about what they thought a good framework would be. Just kind of like passively, let me know.
So by framework, are you talking about like campaign structure?
Campaign structure.
Got it. Okay.
To test
your A/B
test new ads and scale winners.
Got it.
Entry. Just structuring side of things within the campaign. So they're going to get back to me about that. And I'll touch base with them Monday if I don't hear from them. But that was essentially my week. It was the meetings for the personal mentorship that I think I can provide good value and advice for with custom notes and voice notes.
I don't think they'd agree to pay you for future meetings if you didn't provide.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And there's no like hook, you know what I mean? It's just, I'll, do it. And then if they don't want to do it anymore, that's cool. But, what else? The analysis on the split test that I've been running with the legacy bundle and understanding that my presentation isn't clear enough.
Yeah.
And I definitely have gaps in how I present material as well as my branding.
Yeah.
And then from that, developing a branding framework and vision for the next 4 weeks in order what to build out and how to effectively test it with the audiences that are going to be catered to it, as well as incorporating into that rebranding advertisements that mothers are watching more and that is more catered towards like a younger audience being like 35-ish.
Yeah.
And how to effectively structure that into Facebook. And I'm going to be testing just campaign level, different campaign, as well as ad set level, changing the audience ages and seeing how those two perform against each other with a new batch of ads. Now that I have effectively demonstrated for sure that the winner is highly prioritized within that account. And every week it does just get more and more prioritized.
Yeah.
And it becomes harder and harder to break past it.
Right.
And so that was essentially my business update this week.
It's a great update.
Yeah. I think it was solid.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, it's finding a way to quit your job sustainably, which is super solid.
Yeah. So, and hopefully it all pans out. You'll at the very least, there will be weekly updates of where I'm at. So there you go.
Yeah. Well, I think that it's not worth thinking about a shot you haven't taken yet, right? That's the Michael Jordan quote. So it's like, I think you're in a good position for it to work out. And if it doesn't, then you can analyze why it didn't. And then
if I crash and burn, it'll make a really fun story for when I'm like 40.
And in the same position.
No. Same position. But I think it would be unreasonable for me to not succeed by then if I just continue to work this hard at it.
Yeah. I would rather be unsuccessful at 40 working this hard than a tiny bit more successful by following the 9-to-5 route.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough.
Which is why I don't put money in a 401k.
Fair enough.
Sweet.
But yeah, that's what I have for business this week. What do you have for us?
Okay, so we'll start with the client update because that's where we always start with. And it's shorter this week. So we left off with me writing another offer for my out-of-state clients. Reasonable offer. We reached out to the listing agent. It was their first time with a listing. So they didn't really know what the process was. So we kind of walked them through it. Sent the contract to our buyers to sign. And they said, hey, we had like a family thing come up. It was like 8:00 at night. So it's close to when they go to sleep anyways. They were like, we had a family thing come up, but we'll sign it first thing in the morning. You guys crushed it as always. Thank you. And we were like, okay, sounds good. They liked this house. It's a good house. It's a great deal. And then we didn't hear back from them for 2 days. And so then we hit them back and we were like, hey, is everything good? And they were like, oh yeah, we had family stuff come up. So like, we're just going to have to deal with this for a little while. We just have to pause. And I'm like, you got it. I had guessed, right? I had assumed so.
Yeah.
And so they're like, I don't know what their deal is. They're pending.
Got it.
No, nothing happening there, I think. But that's okay. Like we'll just keep doing what we're doing. When we did do the showings, I did make a note to post about it. which is good because previously I have had the thought of every time I do a showing, I need to put it on social media because I need to document everything on social media. And I'm fucking terrible at it because generally speaking, posting online is not instinct for me. It was like 10 years ago in high school. But now it is not second nature to me. I so rarely post or even like go on social media and to scroll that like making a post is.
I got like 2 photos of myself at the vault. And I did them on the last day after it had ended with the friend that I was going to dinner with because I realized that I didn't have any photos of me at the vault.
Yeah, it's exactly that.
Yeah.
Because when you're focused on working, the last thing you're thinking about is telling other people that that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's also like, I'm not the type of person who like, is like, look at me at the gay ward. It's like, fucking, so like, who cares?
So I don't care. And
no, I don't care either.
I think that one of the first
other people care.
Yeah, I know. Well, and that's the whole thing is like, that's how you get an audience, right? That's how you get clients in real estate. And so I think that one of the major purchases that I want to make for business is like number one is and has always been hiring a private chef to do all my meals. Because I don't want to go grocery shopping anymore. I don't want to cook and I don't want to have to worry about where I'm going to get my next meal from. I want it all to be ready to go every day. And I want to know how it's going to work. I think that will buy back a huge amount of time that like most real estate agents don't pay for. And then I think I want to hire a personal assistant to run around for me and just manage my calendar and post fucking everything that I do on social media. Like I want someone else with a camera to just like, I can focus on what I'm doing while they document what I'm doing.
Sure.
And they can real quick ask me like, Mason, can you explain this? And I'll go, yeah. And I'll turn to the camera and I'll explain it. And then I can go back to what I'm doing. That's further out. But I did remember last week to post about the showings. So at the very least with those clients, I get to learn more about contracts and then I can post about the showings online. So I still get a little bit of value from them. And I learned something a few weeks ago from Grace while we were writing an offer for them because they were like, oh, like we're worried this house is going to sell quickly. So we want to put in like a competitive offer. But I'm not sure if we're going to do it. And at the time they had already like balked on a few contracts. And so Grace was like, why don't we write an escalation clause? And I was like, what's an escalation clause? And essentially what it is in your contract, you write, hey, it's a $500,000 offer, right? So I'm going to say, hey, we're going to offer $470,000, right? But if you get a counter offer that's above that, then it triggers to $480,000. And then if another offer comes in above that, then it triggers to $500,000 without me having to write more contracts. So the listing agent knows that my offer is good up to $500,000. But if we don't get any counters, then it just stops at $470,000 and we get the deal for $470,000, which I didn't know about. And that's a fun thing that I learned via Grace by working with these clients who won't commit to anything. So kind of a double-edged sword, right? Of course, you want to close. Fucking like at this point, I just want to know why they haven't bought anything, right? Because I think it would be so crazy to me if you have written all these offers and then for legitimate reasons on all of them, they haven't gone through with anything, you know, like actual real life stuff coming up. So at this point, I'm just like, how?
Yeah, keep these clients out of your metrics.
Yeah, honestly.
Sorry, that was a bad joke.
No, it's true. I mean,
you're way better at what you do than this. And it's not a reflection of your skill set or your willingness to work hard or your willingness to find good deals or properties. I think it's just a factor of, haziness on the other end of this.
I think it's making me better at what I do because it's building my tolerance for people who do not work at the same rate that I do. It's building my tolerance for people who don't follow through with what they say they're going to do. And it's building my ability to write contracts at an unbelievable rate of speed.
Yeah.
Because I'm now getting so used to the software.
Right.
So that's my out-of-state clients. I have another client update, but they're not a new client. It's an ex-client that I had. It's the first person I helped buy a home. They're a coworker of mine in Northrop Grumman. Most real estate agents, when you close on a house, will get their client a closing gift, right? I had no money when we made this closing. So I did not have money for a closing gift for him. It was also my first day as a real estate agent with Blue Marlin Real Estate. So I didn't really have
literally first day.
It was the first day. So I didn't have access to, I didn't know how buying the Blue Marlin branded gifts work. I was also technically a referral on that. I wasn't an official agent on the contract. I referred it out to Grace at Remax and then I got like a percentage. I got 50%. So it was kind of blurry, right? Most real estate agents follow up with their clients after closing every 6 months to check in on them, see how they're doing, if they can help with anything, and check and see if they're ready to buy or sell, right? I don't do it every 6 months. I decided that I'm going to undercut everybody else is doing it every 6 months and do it every 4 months. So 3 times a year, I'm reaching out to these people. And since I didn't get this guy a closing gift, I was like, I'm going to get a closing gift for him, like as a 4 months on type of thing, right? So I got him a Blue Marlin t-shirt. I got him one of the koozies because I use this all the time, and I know that he drinks energy drinks too. And like a sticker and stuff like that. And then I got a nice Blue Marlin has like branded gift bags with like branded wrapping paper and stuff like that. And so I brought that into work for him. And he was really impressed and super happy with it. Cool. Like he's usually like a pretty chill guy, but this I could tell like I'm speaking his language in gift giving, right? And he was blown away. And so then I was like, oh, dude, this cost like $20 to make him super happy. And we had like an hour and a half conversation about like what's going on in his life right now. I would pay $20 for that 3 times a year. So now I have just made it a part of my process where I'm like, okay, every 4 months, I'm going to send a client that I've closed with some gifts. That's what I'm going to do. Even if I don't talk to them in person, like now I know their address because I helped them buy the place. I'm just going to mail it to them. And so I'm going to do the same thing with our apartment clients. I'll probably get them smaller gifts because I don't make money on the apartment clients, but I do still appreciate when they give Google reviews. So I'll still probably get them something small, but he was super happy. And that made me really happy too.
Cool. Awesome.
That is a part of real estate that it gets me. Like making customers happy is what makes me super happy. And so like he was happy when we closed on his house, and now I get the chance to do that again by like getting him gifts. And that's what makes me excited about real estate, not writing offers for clients that don't sign them, right? So it's like I balance the good with the bad this week, right? Those are all my clients' updates. Those are the only clients that I have right now, technically. There are a few others in the works. Hang on. There's someone else who I work with at work who has alluded to wanting to sell their house in the next 6 months and then upsizing into a bigger one.
Yep.
And so I'm starting to work on a CMA to gauge how much his house might be worth, what we can list it for. And then I have the other client. They live in my parents' neighborhood that they're getting ready to list. And so I've started to recognize a pattern of, okay, the future clients that I'm kind of fostering right now are going to want to sell their current house. Then maybe my coworker will want to buy one after that, but they still have to sell, right? And I've been kind of fuzzy over the last like month. And I think I've shared this on the podcast with like, I don't really know what direction to go to, right? Like I picked open houses and I was like, I'm going to get really good at open houses. And I've been doing good open houses every week for like 19 weeks now, right? We had the best open house we've ever had yesterday.
Oh, awesome.
It's a 5-bed, 4-bed house, or a 5-bed, 4-bath house in Merritt Island by the Barge Canal.
Okay.
And it's 3,300 square feet, which is a huge house with it's an enclosed pool. So it's super interesting because when you open the front door, it opens up into like a courtyard, like, you know, the Roman buildings with like the little thing. So it's a fully walled in pool with a mother-in-law suite right there. And then the actual house, right? Really cool layout. It's one of the most unique floor plans we've ever seen. It needs some work. And it was inherited by the current owner from a family member. So they're selling it and they need to sell it quickly because they can't afford to keep it. I'm assuming that's why, right?
Got it.
Because if your dad owns a home, if he dies and you take ownership of it, now you pay property taxes.
Right.
And if you don't have the money to pay property taxes on a $650,000 home, you have to sell that home so fast, right?
Right.
That's the current situation. So everybody who's come through, we've only met great people this is the second week in a row we did it, because last week I was like, that was so much fun. I would like to do it again. A, I want to spend more time in the house because I think it's cool. But B, we had like 4 groups come through and all of them were super friendly. So we did it again this week. This time we only had 2 groups come through, or no, we had 3 technically. The first one opened the door to the bathroom on me while I was using the bathroom. So that was not successful. Lesson learned there. Lock the door when you go to the bathroom. We had just gotten there and I put the signs in the front yard. It's in a cul-de-sac tucked way back in the back of the neighborhood. And I put the signs out and then I was like, oh, I have to go to the bathroom. I should do this before like putting the rest of the signs out and then a bunch of people come through. So I went inside, used the bathroom, and I was like, okay, Grace is here. If anyone comes in, she'll text me. She'll tell them to like not bother me. Like I'll be fine. And I'm in there for not more than 45 seconds when like some guy opens the door. I'm like, whoa. And so then I come out and I'm like, hey, Grace, what the fuck? And she was like, I told them that you're in there, and pointed to the door and to not go in there. And that's the first door that they went to. And I was like, I can't blame you for that. Like that's whatever. So lesson learned, lock the door to the bathroom or don't put any signs out. Just do the bathroom first and then go put out signs. So
That's funny.
yeah, that's
Damn.
what it is. But interestingly, while I was putting out signs, the ex-manager at Blue Marlin, who hired me at Blue Marlin, who has since left, has started his own brokerage. So he has his own branding and his own open house signs. The way this open house works is when you're driving down the road that the Barge Canal is on, Courtney, like North Courtney, you turn right into the neighborhood and then you go down this long road, and at the end there's a T going left and right. My open house is on the left. His is on the right. His signs are already there. But he has a dark blue sign with very thin white letters on it, right? It looks very classy. But from all the way down that road, you can't see it. My open house signs say his has his name and his number and the address and like a slogan and his logo. Mine says open house, white letters on red background with a fucking arrow. It's very... Did you have to take aviation human factors at Florida Tech?
Yeah.
This is one of the things we learned. Like for every inch tall the letters is another 100 feet you can see it from. White on red is, I think, one of, if not the most visible combos from furthest away.
Yeah.
And so I put the signs out, and when I was driving back from putting the signs out, I could tell. And I was like, oh, I'm doing the right thing here by not using my own custom signs because I can see this from further out. So even if you were going to his open house, you might accidentally go the wrong way and go to mine anyways, because my signs, they weren't blocking his at all, but they're so much more vibrant. And so just like quick reaffirmation that I'm using the right signs. But the group that we had come through, they talked for like an hour and a half with us, which is so awesome because the longer that I get to talk to somebody, the more I can show them what I'm capable of and what I can do, right? But I'm going to put a pin in that story for now because this week, most of what I have worked on is preparing for listings. Because something that I have recognized is I've done all this work to compile a list of people I went to high school with to call them and like, see if they want to buy or sell real estate, but I don't feel excited to do it. And you don't have to, I don't believe that you have to be excited to do work, but I do believe that if I'm selling something, I need to be like at least confident in it, right? And usually if I'm not confident, I'm not excited, right? And I'm not particularly nervous, but it's just like, I kind of feel like it's a waste of time. And so I did some personal reflection and thinking, and I was like, why am I not excited to call these people? And the answer is that I don't have conviction. I don't have such a strong belief in my product that they need to have it. That I don't feel that. And I was trying to figure out why that is because I'm doing such a great job with these clients that are out of state, even though it hasn't closed on anything. My other clients are super happy. And I realized that the answer is because all of those people are buyers. But when I'm calling these people, some of them might be sellers. It's an unknown. They might be buyers, which I have a ton of experience with, or they might be sellers. And then I thought about it and I was like, well, if my coworker who's getting ready to sell their house and my parents' neighbors who are like ready to sell their house supposedly like within the month, right? If I'm not confident enough to talk to somebody I went to high school with who probably doesn't have a house to sell, I'm definitely not prepared to go handle those listings. So like I need to sit back before I go approach those people because I don't want to tell them something I can do, something that I can't, right? And I had this conversation with Tyler this week and he was like, dude, you're totally ready. And I was like, no. I need to have a strategy. Like I need to have an actionable step-by-step plan on how to sell a house. Because if I know that plan, I can convey that plan to a client and I'll believe in my marketing plan to the point that I will present it to my client with conviction. And then I'll be excited to talk to people and then I'll talk to everybody about it, right? And Tyler tried to convince me, he was like, one-upping me, or not one-upping me, but he was like hyping me up. And he was like, dude, you've got this. And he was like, in my listing appointments, I don't even talk about the marketing strategy. I just tell them that I'm going to do marketing and then I get them to like me and trust me to sell the house. And I was like, yeah, but at that point, I'm not offering anything different, right? So like generally, here's the generalities of what a real estate agent does with the listing, right? You own a house and you want to sell it. I come and sit down with you. I say, I'm going to do marketing. We're going to price it where the CMA has it or lower if you want it to sell faster. And then if we don't get any offers in 3 weeks, then we're going to drop it by 2%. And then a month later, we're going to drop it by 2%, et cetera, right? You're going to tell me you don't like that because you know what you have and you know what it's worth and you're going to sell it for X amount. And I'll say, okay, we're going to list it at my price for 4 weeks. And then if we don't get anything, then we're going to drop it and do it my way. And you agree to that. We shake hands. I schedule photos and a listing video to be taken. I put it on Instagram and I make a listing on the MLS, and then we wait. Maybe I do an open house or two. Maybe I do a couple open houses. Maybe I have other real estate agents who do open houses, and then I wait. And that's it. And that's how most real estate agents work listings. Because generally, someone who's in the market for a house is on Zillow, or their real estate agent has them set up on an automated emailing list. When a house that matches their criteria comes up in the MLS, it automatically emails them. So like the way the system is built, people are looking for your listing. So usually someone who's interested is going to see it, right? Real estate agents like to say that listing videos for houses like welcome to this gorgeous 3-bed, 2-bath home with a bathtub on the roof, right? Those videos aren't to sell the house, it's to sell your personality as a real estate agent to other people. And I don't subscribe to that because I genuinely believe from all the Hormozi training that I have found, right? There is a way to make a house compelling. There is a way to sell a house. And most real estate agents don't do it. Most real estate agents let the market take care of that. And then they sell their personality. I cannot sell my personality if I don't believe that I have a unique product that works.
Right.
That's when I can sell my personality, because my personality is entirely founded on the stack of evidence that I have. Right. So this week, I committed myself to learning how listings work and making a plan. So here's how I worked this. I wanted to know foundationally, day by day, what do you do as soon as you sign a listing? There's a Chris Williamson quote out there that goes something along the lines of, the more anxious you are, the less prepared you are, and the more prepared you get, the anxiety turns to excitement. Are you familiar with that quote?
No, but sounds about right. Yeah.
So I didn't really have anxiety at the beginning of this week, but I definitely did not have excitement. And from this time last week to today, I am fucking stoked. I feel so much more confident in the stuff that I have.
Cool.
So I found out that Canva has a whiteboard function. My brain works on whiteboards way better than it does in Google Docs. I don't like dry erase marker whiteboards in real life, but I like conceptually on the computer, the whiteboard. So I have been working really well with this whiteboard, and I went fucking nuts. So I'll turn my computer around real quick and show you. I think I sent you a screenshot of this earlier, but this is day 1 through 5. So this is the fully off the market, coming soon on the market. This is the big event. And then if you go under contract, it splits these 2 different ways. And I've got all these other strategies written out here. Like, this is the way that my brain thinks, right? And it has solidified with me so clearly what the sale process is, right? And in doing so, I came up with ways to set myself apart from other people. So generally, the way that a sale works is exactly how I referenced it earlier, right? There's problems with that. The biggest problem is if a house is overpriced and you start with it overpriced, it'll sit on the market. And the longer it sits on the market, the more it starts to smell. And even when you drop the price down to a reasonable price, if it says that your house has been on the market longer than 30 days, people are going to look at it like there's something wrong, even if there isn't. It's less desirable. So Tom Ferry has this quote called, if you don't launch a listing, it lingers, and that's bad for your seller. So if you don't get a lot of hype right away, then it's just going to sit on the market and it'll rot. And then there's a technique that real estate agents use where they technically take down the listing and then they put it back on the market. And, that generates some more hype because then it looks like a new listing, even though any real estate agent can go in and see that it's not, right? Same deal with like Zillow and Redfin and stuff like that. You can see. So how do I combat that? What's a perfect sale? First day on market, you generate offers and go under contract, right? That's ideal. So how do I work my way there? Because I can't sit down with someone and have them sign the paper and then have them clean their whole house, have photos taken, have videos taken, advertise everything, and get people in the house to write an offer in one day. That doesn't make any sense, right? But there is a way to do it. And so this is what I have laid out in my timeline here. I'm not going to go like step by step because I'd be talking for 3 hours, but I'm going to give generalities, right? Because I've got these brackets over like the number of days. So the day that I sit down with someone in a listing appointment and we sign a listing agreement, we're going to align our goals to make sure that we are on the same page. We're going to establish what our starting price is going to be. If they want to sell fast, we'll go under the CMA. If they don't want to go fast, we'll go with the CMA. And the day that they sign that agreement, it's technically referred to as an office exclusive, or colloquially, it's a pocket listing, which basically means I've agreed to sell your house. Nobody else knows about it. Technically, I have to give that listing agreement to my brokerage right away, so they'll know about it. But like prospective buyers won't know, the MLS won't know, et cetera, right? So that is technically still 0 days on market. And I have the ability to stay in this phase as long as I need to, right? But here's the catch. As soon as I want to start marketing this house, privately or publicly, I have to put it on the market, right? So in the first week, I'll have the seller clean out the house, get it in photo ready condition. I'll have the photos taken. I'll have the listing video taken, like I'll go film there, right? And then when I have my advertisement material ready after like 5 or 7 days, depending on how fast the seller moves, right? I'm going to put it on the market. But there's a specific classification you can use and an exclusion form you can fill out, which means it's categorized as coming soon, not active. It's not an active listing yet. It's coming soon. And the maximum duration for that is 21 days. So you have 21 days in the coming soon phase in which you can market it publicly or privately as long as it says coming soon, and no one is allowed to go see the property or submit offers. So I have 21 days of free advertising where I can pump out ads, right? So that gives me 21 days to follow the whisper, tease, shout method, right? And I think I can get clever with it and find a way to market it ahead of time by being super vague. So I think that I can email directly my VIPs and say, hey, I have an opportunity that's coming up in Rockledge, right? Because that doesn't tie it to the specific property, right? The MLS says that you're not allowed to advertise a property until it's active, right? But I can be super vague. So as soon as it's coming soon, I can start doing the whisper, tease, shout. So I've got some specific steps here. But the idea that I have is that my coming soon period is going to be all advertising for the first open house. A lot of real estate agents host a mega open house. Here's what their mega open house looks like. They put out signs the morning of, they make a post 3 days before, they have a food truck there, and that's it. And that's the mega open house.
Got it.
Granted, a food truck is cool and not at most open houses, right? And generally, you can market it as like brand new on the listing or like the first time it's being unveiled. You can do that kind of stuff, right? That's not uncommon. I want to 10x that and blow that shit out of the water, right? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to offer the most free value that anybody has ever gotten from a real estate agent without having to sign any paperwork. That's my hook. That's my catch, right? And so instead of doing an mega open house, I'm going to do what I'm calling a listing launch. And that's fun because I can spin it off like rocket because West Coast, right?
Yeah.
But it's also like Gem launch or his money model book launch, right? Hormozi's stuff. Because when I started thinking about it, I was like, well, the way that Hormozi actually sells his products, it's through advertising, but he makes most of his sales through his launches. And so I can just apply that same principle to real estate. I think I mentioned that last week. And this is more developed now. So technically, the day before, I'm going to do all the advertising on Facebook ads and local ads. I'm going to go door to door and I'm going to invite the neighbors to the open house an hour early. I'm going to give them a neighbor exclusive so they get to see it an hour before everybody else. And it'll be more private. It won't be so slammed because it's going to be busy. It's going to be awesome. And I can post it to local Facebook groups and like Nextdoor, the Nextdoor app and stuff like that, right? And it also gives me an opportunity to touch base with neighbors face to face ahead of the open house. But also, if you're interested in selling your house, don't you want someone who goes door to door, right? Then the actual day of the listing launch, we have all our standard stuff, but there's also a cookie company that I'm friends with the owner. She's super sweet and she's offered to make cookies for events. So I think I want to get her into a recurring for these listing launches. And then I've got a bunch of cool marketing ideas to include here. So let's see what else I have here. The first idea that I have is a VIP gift box. And this is inspired by the box that Hormozi held, roughly the size of a shoebox, in his promotions for the Money Models event, right? He said, I'm going to give you a free gift. And he held up the box that's worth less than a Bitcoin, but more than an NFT, right? That is what got me to pay the $30 to go attend live, right? As a VIP. And then he sent me emails with early access information and special offers and stuff as a VIP, right?
Yeah.
I want to make one of those boxes, but I don't want it to be a PDF of a book like it was for Alex Hormozi. I want to actually get a physical shoebox with Blue Marlin branding on it and a bunch of merch inside to give to somebody, right? But not just merch. So I want to include, this is a really early cut and I haven't done like a cost analysis of this. So I don't know if this is going to be anything in the final approach, but I want to have like a hat in there and a koozie, maybe like a pen, like a support local sticker. And then I want to have a branded buyers and sellers guide with like my face on it. And then I have a couple, you can do scratch off lottery tickets. People like those. That's not uncommon in brokers opens where a brokerage can't get a house sold. So they call all real estate agents to come help. And then there's a couple of interesting ones that I came up with using Hormozy tactics. For one, I noticed from his listing launch, he included a lot of free stuff, right? Any one thing on its own wasn't like so crazy valuable that it's worth paying $6,000 for, but all of it together really adds up. So I'm taking the same thing here, right? So I'm including a free CMA coupon. So if you want to know how much your house is worth, you can redeem this coupon and I'll do that for free. Real estate agents will do that for free anyways, but I'm giving you a piece of paper that says that I'll do it for free. And if you don't know what it is, then it sparks a conversation. Seems like it's free, even though it's usually complimentary, right? Similarly, I'm going to include a free lifetime newsletter subscription to my newsletter that I'm going to send out to my client base every week, right? So that's just going to be like a really broad, like, here's what the real estate market is doing in Brevard County this week, right? If you live in a specific city, maybe I'll split it up and I'll write one for each city, right? Zap, a viewer of the podcast, has programmed an AI tool to write this for news in the space sector, like the space industry, right? It's called Rise. I'm subscribed. It sends out an email 3 times a week with all the information that I would basically want for real estate to send out to people. And so I could have AI automate it, right? But that's something that I'm going to look to do later down the road. I'm just going to start by writing it by hand. So I'm going to include the newsletter, right? That's also a way to get their email. I want it to kind of be close to like the Mosey Minute. You read those? Let's see, what else do I have in here? The big one that I'm going to have is a VIP membership golden ticket, which gives you an access code to my website. And my website is going to include all of my active listings. So whatever listings don't sell at the listing launch, I'm going to have to go do like a plan B strategy for getting it sold because the listing launch didn't generate an offer, right? All of those are going to be on my website for everybody. But if you're a VIP and you put in your access code, now you can see all of my coming soon listings because I'm targeting it directly to you, not to everybody else. And that's allowed under coming soon. And then you're going to get direct emails with even earlier access as soon as I sign the listing agreement and I have something coming to a city, right?
Yeah.
So that's the VIP membership. And then the biggest free thing that I have here is that I'm going to have a contractor list with discounts. I mentioned this last week.
Yeah.
This week I put together a list of where are you? Here you are. I put together a list of 39 different contractors, right? So these are all different contracting types. I've got a roofing company, a handyman, a flooring company, plumber, electrician, everything I listed last week.
Yeah.
So I went through and I found specific companies that I'd like to partner with. And then I reached out to them, each of them, and I started securing discount codes. So for example, Modern Moving and Storage is offering me $100 off packaging supplies when someone uses their service using code MASON. Then I've got a 5% discount on American Made Gutters LLC for any of my clients. And then a pressure washing company, Jacobs Pressure Cleaning LLC, gave me a 10% discount for the first time or a 20% discount for using 3 or more of the services. And then I'm in negotiations with a mobile cleaning company right now and a few others. I'm waiting for them to get back to me. But I've already started securing client discounts.
Nice.
And I don't need to fill out this whole sheet. I don't have to have discounts for everybody. Legally, I can't, right? So like I have a CPA in there. But CPAs shouldn't ethically, they shouldn't take they shouldn't give referral discounts to specific people because it violates their fiduciary responsibility or whatever. Same with like a title company or a lender or any appraisers and stuff like that. So I can give recommendations of companies, but I can't do discounts because they're involved in the settlement procedures of the house, right? So law says I can't do that. But at the very least, if you come to my listing launch, you get the list of contractors for free and you get the % discount on there, but you only unlock the code to use those discounts if you become my client. So I'm giving you this stuff for free genuinely. And then I'm letting you know that if you work with me, you get access to the additional bonus content, which is the discounts. So all of that is going to be in that gift box. I also would like to run a raffle. you can't call it a raffle, you can call it a giveaway, but basically it's like everybody who comes to the listing launch, you take a ticket, you write your name or email down or phone number, whatever you want. It's not mandatory to write down your contact information to win, but how else am I going to contact you, right? Legally, I can't make it like, I can't force anybody to write anything on the ticket to win, but it's the way that I reach you, right? I then also supplementally get their contact information. So even if they don't win the raffle, I can email them and say, hey, you didn't win the raffle, but thank you for coming, etc. Right? I also want a custom countdown clock, like a big fucking doomsday clock. It doesn't look like a doomsday clock, but it's a timer that's counting down to midnight that day. Because my premise to generate urgency is saying, welcome to the listing launch. We've been advertising this event. This is the first day that it's on market. This is the first available opportunities to put offers down. We've already received multiple offers from people who've come through the listing launch or have seen the advertisements and want to buy the house. I'm presenting the offers at midnight tonight to my client. So you have to write your offer today if you want a shot at it, right? And I want like a big visual that generates a talking point. So I still have to figure out how to build that, but it's my idea. I also want local vendors to come. So you can ask like florists or like coffee companies to come set up a thing to like promote their business and sell their wares, but also who doesn't like flowers, right?
Yeah.
So I can have those people come through. I'm going to have a food truck, of course. I want listing launch custom flags in the front yard and maybe like a big sign or something like that. And custom open house signs that say like listing launch as well as open house that I can put out. And I want to hit a minimum of like 100 signs for each one of them. Nice. Like going out everywhere, right? And so after the listing launch, I'll send a thank you email to everybody who attended. And I want to include some type of free value in that email to reiterate that I like give. I don't know what that is yet. I just have a note here to find something. And then I'm going to present the offers to the sellers. So that's my unique thing. Listing launches is what makes me unique and separates me from other agents.
Very cool. I like it.
That's what I have all put together.
Yeah.
And then I also have a timeline built out for if we do go under contract, so that when I'm at the listing appointment, I can show them this timeline and say, hey, if we go under contract, expect to close on day 52 for most conventional people, because it takes 30 days to get a mortgage approved and finances secured. If we don't go under contract, then we have to start to go into our marathon, not a sprint phase. And that's this whole bottom line down here.
Got it.
Is what do we do if the listing launch doesn't work, right? Because my whole premise is the way you sell a house is you price it properly and put it in front of as many people as possible. Because similar to the Facebook ads, if you have a good ad that 5 people see, there's a chance no one buys it. But if you have a good ad that 500 people see, there's a chance someone does.
Yeah.
Most real estate agents honestly, I don't think they do a good job of pricing the product to begin with, because most real estate agents will agree to whatever price that the client wants to do so that they secure the listing, and then it sits for a long time and it rots on the market. Additionally, I don't think they do a good enough job putting it in front of enough eyes. And by promoting this VIP gift for my listing launch in advertisements that I send to a very specified local community in Brevard, I think I can get enough eyes on it to at least generate one offer on a listing launch day. And one offer is better than nothing, right? It's like, especially if I can nail like 2 of these and I can start saying, hey, we consistently get offers on first day on market. That's a very powerful marketing tool to get other people to work with me, right? And so the marathon, not a sprint phase is what I'm actively working on. I still have to refine a lot of the listing launch day things, but I'm always working contingencies. And so like now my weakest link is what happens if the listing launch doesn't work? That's going to be everybody's question, right? Because there's a chance that it doesn't, especially if the client wants to do an unreasonable price, right? Or if we get offers and then they don't accept them, okay? You know, if they didn't accept them, why not? Because we're wasting this opportunity, because you only get one listing launch. Now the days on market ticks up and we can't reset that odometer, right? So I've got a bunch of different strategies I have listed out here. Not just price drops, but more marketing ideas, more open houses, different ways to market to neighbors. So one of the things I have written here is I can make an advertisement like a flyer, and I'll go door knocking against the neighbors. And I'll say, hey, this house didn't sell at our listing launch. You guys have a second opportunity. If you or someone you know buys this house, you'll get a $5,000 credit at closing. And I'm allowed to do that because technically that offer applies to anybody who sees the advertisement. But if I only advertise it to the neighborhood, then it only applies to the neighborhood, right? If someone else that doesn't live in the neighborhood happens upon the ad and they say, hey, can I cash in on this? I say yes, because that's the way that works. But it's a way to make the neighbors think that they have like a special in, right? And so now I'm generating all of these different ways to make a house more appealing than just dropping price. Because it's super common to see a $700,000 house drop $10,000 one week and then $10,000 the next week and then $5,000 the week after that. And when clients see that, the perceived value of a price drop is super low because most people want to see like a 30% reduction in price to actually make it interesting, right?
Yeah.
So I started to identify what are other ways that I could increase the perceived likelihood of achievement without actually decreasing the value or the actual price of the house. And so I have this little example worked out here. Buyer incentives. It's broken down into price drop, a credit at closing, which means you bring less money to the actual closing table, or an interest rate buy down. These are three different things that you can offer a buyer, right? So technically, this is the seller giving up a certain amount of money. So it's akin to a price drop, but the interest rate buy down and the credit at closing can be more powerful than a price drop. And I have examples written out here. So bear with me. For an FHA loan on a $400,000 house, you have a 30-year fixed rate mortgage at 6.6%. That's pretty standard. You're putting down the 3.5% down payment, which is $14,000, meaning that your loan amount is $392,755. So why is it not $386,000? Because you're doing a $14,000 down payment, right? It's because when you use FHA, you have to pay the FHA version of PMI, which is where if you do a down payment under 20%, then you have to pay a premium to insure your mortgage. So for FHA loans, it's called MIP, or mortgage insurance premium. It's basically PMI, but for conventional versus FHA. So that's 1.75% or $6,755, but you can roll that into the loan. You don't have to pay it up front, okay? Which is why your loan amount is $392,000. So at full price, the monthly payment that you're paying is $2,685 a month, right? If I do a $10,000 price drop, then the new price is $390,000, not $400,000, and your new monthly payment is $2,620. So $65 a month in savings. If I do a $10,000 credit at closing, then the sale price of $400,000 is the same. You pay the same $2,685 a month, but you bring $10,000 less to the closing table. So your down payment is $14,000. Now it's $4,000. So that's pretty powerful, right? Maybe more powerful than a price drop. Because with a price drop, you're only saying $65 a month in savings, but you might not have 10 grand right now, right? Here's my favorite one. An interest rate buy down is where we take the same $400,000 price point, but instead of lopping 10 grand off right away, or giving you like a 10 grand credit at closing, right? I offer to use that $10,000 to pay your interest rate down for the first few years of ownership. So for a 2-1 buy down, that's how it's phrased, you take your $400,000 sale price and you have a new variable interest rate for the first 2 years. So for the first year, I'm paying to make your interest rate not 6.6% anymore, but 4.6%. Meaning you pay $500 less a month for the first year of ownership in that house. And the second year, now I'm paying 1%, so 5.6%, you pay $260 less a month for a whole year. And then in year 3, it goes back to 6.6%, back to your $2,600, right? But that's really interesting because if you're in a financial position right now where you're like, well, I'll definitely be making enough money in 3 years to be paying an extra $400 or $500 a month, you can do that. You could also say, oh, I'm going to use this interest rate buy down so that I pay $500 less a month for 2 years, and then I'll refinance. Because if I have a 6.6% interest rate right now, but the interest rates are better in 3 years, I can refinance back down to a regular one and keep my same monthly payment. And that is so much more valuable to me, at least, than just a $10,000 lop off the price, right? So these are exactly the techniques that I was looking for a week ago when I was like, what sets the top agent at Blue Marlin apart from every other agent, right? And it's because you can take $10,000, you can make a seller give up $10,000, but there's a ton of different ways you can do it. And so another one of my favorite ways to do it is by combining these. You don't have to do just one of them. So here, I've got a couple examples here. Instead of just saying, here's your $10,000 off the listing price or $10,000 credit at closing, you can combine them into a list of things. And you can call the credit at closing something else. So instead of saying $500 credit at closing, you can reframe that to sellers paying for your first 12 months of lawn service, right? And then you work out the price to make sure it actually balances that, right? But instead of actually paying every month for the lawn service, you just give them a $5,000 credit at close, right? But you can reframe it as like lawn service, pool cleaning service, HOA dues, stuff like that. And then you can combine closing credits with a price reduction. So like now
and traveling expenses.
Exactly, right? Relocation. Yeah. Now you can combine into a list of, sellers are offering a $500 moving credit plus $500 appliance gift card for a new dishwasher, plus a $2,500 credit at closing, plus a $2,500 interest rate buy down. And so that's a total of a $10,000 reduction in price, which usually people wouldn't even bat an eye at because you're not saying no to a house because of $10,000. You're just saying no to a house because it doesn't quite fit the bill or the perceived value isn't there, right? So you can combine those together to be very more powerful. And I can create a sense of urgency by placing a time limit on it. So I can say, this week, our buyer's offering a $5,000 credit at closing if you're under contract by the end of the week. And then the next week, I can say, the seller's now offering to cover your first year of HOA dues. It's the same $5,000. It expires at the end of the week. And then the next week, I can say, the seller will buy down your interest rate to 4.6% for year one. Same $5,000. But I have now a ton of different ways to reframe it every week with a time limit.
Yeah, that's cool. Time. I dig that.
Cool, right?
Yeah.
So I've got a ton of other things in here for marketing. But generally speaking, this has amplified my energy and confidence in getting a house sold by like 10 million%. And like I have spoken to so many real estate agents on their favorite techniques for getting a house sold. And most of it is like, have an open house the first week as early into the days on market as you can. And then basically like show your Facebook ad metrics to your client. But I know that listing ads aren't actually to sell the house, it's to sell the real estate agent. And so if you show your person that you have 60,000 views on a Facebook ad, it's not really helping them because you're not really bringing people in. You're telling them about the house, but you're not providing any value. But all of these are different ways that you can provide more value. So this is an arsenal that I'm building and I'm putting something new in there every single day.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So this is going really, really well. My other updates for business, the Fed cut rates this week. So the Federal Reserve cut their interest rate brackets down to 4 to 4.25%. So it dropped by 0.25%, right? Okay. We have seen mortgage rates start to like trend down a little bit in preparation for this cut. They did cut it. Doesn't necessarily mean that mortgage rates are going to drop. But in the first week alone, we saw a 0.09% reduction in mortgage rates, right? Okay. So the rates are slowly coming down. So if we see the rates come down, we'll see more people getting mortgages and we'll hopefully see more home sales, right? The biggest problem right now is interest rates were really low during COVID to try to keep the economy alive during COVID. So everybody bought a $400,000 house at a 3% interest rate during COVID. Now that $400,000 house is worth $700,000, but you can't use any of your equity because if you want to use all that to buy a new house, you're going to have a 6% mortgage and you're going to be ending up paying more even though you have all that equity built up.
Yeah.
So no one with good interest rates are selling and people who are ready to buy are holding off because the rates are so high.
Yeah.
Right? And it's not appealing to say buy now and refinance later, right? That's commission breadth. If your agent's telling you to buy now and refinance later, they just want your money. But I thought that Fed rate cut was worth noting. And I made a post about it on Facebook, which I'm patting myself, or on Instagram too. I'm patting myself on the back because I need to have some type of positive reinforcement for posting on social media because the number of likes I get doesn't matter to me. Mm-hmm. I also went to a Blue Marlin Facebook ad training and I took notes.
Oh yeah.
Some of the stuff was really interesting to me, especially because some of it conflicts with what you're saying. And okay, I'm just gonna start, right? The first claim that they made was your business page should have at least 500 followers before you start posting ads to make it worth it, which I do not think is true. I do not.
Sure.
I think that when you give Facebook money, it starts showing your ads to people, and then it doesn't matter how many followers your page has.
Yeah, I mean, it's a question of like, what is your authenticity, right? I mean, it depends on what you're selling, right? Like if I'm selling to a product page, right? Essentially a landing page. If you're selling who you are as a person, it's probably worth having more stuff on your profile.
Right. The way that I run my ads is with the lead form. So the people seeing my ads don't even go to my page. I redirect them to my page after they give me their contact information.
Yeah, I don't think that if you're sitting there thinking if you should run paid ads and you're waiting because you don't have enough followers on your page, that's retarded.
That's what my thought was too.
Yeah.
I didn't say anything because I'm just going to let them do their presentation.
Sure.
The next one was that Facebook ads have been so saturated and Instagram boosts and Facebook boosts are so underutilized that they actually perform better. And so I took pause with that because in my view of the Facebook public ads library, I do not see a ton of real estate agents posting Facebook ads. Seems underutilized and undersaturated to me, at least by the real estate agents that I pulled up, right? And then also boosts. I thought this was interesting because they serve different functions, right?
Yeah.
Boosts put your post in front of more people. Ads get information from someone or redirect them to a product. And so I thought that was interesting. I'm not a huge fan of boosts because I kind of viewed that exposure as like vanity metrics and like nothing else.
Yeah, boosts are like the diet I want to try it version of ads.
Yeah. And the result of boost is that more people see my stuff, but I don't know who is seeing it. I don't know if they're in a region. I don't know if they're potential clients. Like at least with ads, I get to throttle it to only Brevard County, and then I get their contact information sometimes, right?
Right.
The next one was that ads should be used for long term or like 1 month minimum, and then boosts are short term, so 1 month maximum. I thought that was accurate. They recommend doing $8 to $20 per day minimum spending, which, I mean, I don't know.
That's a minimum.
I
mean, it is a minimum value.
Yeah, yeah. And so I was like, yeah, I don't know. Like I feel like
wouldn't do less than 25.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, they also recommended no end date, which is something that I had learned in a previous week from you, because if you set an end date, then you can't restart it again. But their reason for it was interesting. They said, don't set an end date. Why should we not send an end date? And I said, because you can't start the ad again and you lose the data. And she said, no. And I was like, what? And then someone else piped up and they were like, it's because Facebook will know the end date. It'll ramp down your ad toward the end of the set, at the end of the range. And I was like,
maybe.
Okay. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I've never set an end date for an ad. It works. Why would you turn it off?
Exactly. Right. And so that kind of confused me too. But it's
unless it's like only for a launch for a certain period of time. Like, yes, maybe. But like, even so, like there are people, I mean, I've seen some stuff where they'll run a Christmas promo in a separate campaign.
Yeah.
And they'll turn it on in the spring.
Yeah.
And just generate fuck ton of sales in like 3 days. And they'll shut it off.
Yeah.
Like why? Like, so there's there's so many reasons to not send ND. It just gives you versatility.
Yeah. But also having a Christmas ad in July is kind of a hook in itself.
Yeah. It's like, there's techniques that you can use to use promo campaigns from holiday seasons to just boost sales outside of that season.
Well, that's why Mariah Carey's Christmas song starts playing in like fucking August.
Yeah, in January.
Yeah. But the further you can pull forward that Christmas boost, the more money you can make. That's why I see Halloween candy in July and see Easter candy in January.
Mm-hmm.
So as a fallout of this, the way that the information was presented, I think was super valuable for someone who's never run ads before.
Yeah.
There were a couple bullet points that were valuable to me as a person who has run ads. But ultimately, I feel that I'm very grateful to have you, because you are such a more valuable source of information when it comes to Facebook ads. This is a direct plug for the people that are paying you for their consultant. But genuinely, the information that you have is more valuable than that stuff.
Yeah,
and because I'm not like a super beginner.
I mean, it also depends on It depends on what ads you're running to, because your photo ads will have, generally speaking, a lower cost to reach 1,000 customers. So you can get away with less spend on that. You can. And then also it depends on what your function is too. Like what is your ad trying to do? Is it trying to generate leads? Is it trying to get people to subscribe to something on a landing page? Is it trying to get them to purchase something? Is it trying to get them to opt in for a newsletter, right? And so your spend will be a function of how many people you want to hit, and then what your conversion rate is and what your goal initially is set out to be for a minimum test batch size, right? Like that's going to be and then also how quickly you want that data, right? That's going to be the function of your spend. But at less than $25 a day, like you aren't even really effectively testing that day, unless you're testing like only for the Melbourne area. Like maybe you can get lower than that, but like even so, like I mean, think about the $100 million book launch. Hermosi said he spent over $4 million on ads in a week, and there was still a ton of people who didn't even know about the launch.
Tyler saw an ad and didn't know about the launch.
So it's like that's the perspective, you know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like to us, like $25 a day should be reaching all these people. When it's like, also you say like, oh, well, it spent $100 and it got in front of 60,000 people. It's like, sounds good. But it's like, what percentage of those people even know that they saw that?
Right. Exactly.
What percentage of people even watched it for more than 3 seconds? And then what percentage of people actually took interest after those 3 seconds? It's like, it's just such a, like the percent to the percent to percent is so small. And then it's like you top on top of that like most people need to see some variation of the same thing 1 or 2 times, or even just the same thing 1 or 2 times at least before they even consider maybe buying. Right.
And so the fallout of this was I looked at it and I was like, why am I sitting in a Facebook ads training and not running any Facebook ads? The answer is that I don't have money. But then to combat that answer, it was I invest in things that I frequently spend my time doing. And anything that I don't do all the time, I don't pay attention to and I fall off entirely, right? The only reason I use Google Calendar is because I check it every day because that's where I keep all my shit. Right. I had this reminder app where I could type in a reminder for like today, tomorrow, or just sometime. And it was awesome. I used it every day for 2 weeks, and then I used it once a week, and now I don't use it at all anymore. It's just taking up space in my phone, right? And so what I've recognized is if I don't force myself to use something consistently, then I'll forget about it. And so I took the same ad, the same ad style as I had used previously. I made a new ad set, and I set it to run again at $5 a day spend with no end limit. And I was like, I'm going to buy one less energy drink a day, and I'm going to burn this money every day to make myself fucking open the page and look at it every day and get used to running ads and get more comfortable with it. It's not going to generate any meaningful data at all. It's not directed to any specific audience. It's just set to like a 15-mile radius around Merritt Island, but it's going to get me into Ads Manager and looking at it every day because I'm spending money doing it. And then when it comes time to actually run ads on a listing, or if I've got a different type of video that I want to run or something like that, I'll have $5 a day every day less to spend on it. But at least I'll have the knowledge of using it every day, right? And so I set that to run. I don't know how long I'm going to run it for. It doesn't have an end date set, but at the same time, that also gives me the ability to turn it on and off and get used to seeing how that works, right? I just get my feet wet with it. So all of that said, I then felt really prepared and amped up going to this open house yesterday where we had these people come through and talk to us for an hour and a half. And I was able to showcase, I think, all the best parts about the services that Grace and I provide, because they are from a different state. They've lived in Cocoa Beach for 3 years. And they are actually living in a townhome that they were renting out as a short-term rental, but the county came in and regulated it because Cocoa Beach only allows a 7-day minimum rental, right? So it's got to be like mid to long-term rentals. They didn't know that when they bought the house. And I was like, your real estate agent didn't tell you that? And they were like, no. And I was like, did you use someone local? And they were like, no. She lives in like Orlando. And I was like, that's your problem. And they were like, oh, wow. And so I was then able to impart my local knowledge, right? So I was like, here's something interesting to know. There's a lot of houses on canals around here in Sykes Creek that say that it has access to the ocean. Technically, it does. Sykes Creek connects down to the Barge Canal and the Banana where you can get out to the locks in the ocean. But there's a low 10-foot bridge that is on Sykes Creek. So you can't get a sailboat through there, right? Or any large boat in general. Out-of-town agents won't know that. They'll say, bring your sailboat to this house that you buy in Sykes Creek, and then you buy it, go move your sailboat there and realize that you can't. That's local knowledge that someone out of state won't know. Out of city. And they were like, oh, wow, I didn't know that either. And I was like, yeah. And he was like, yeah, the rentals were going fine, but the insurance rates just keep going up. And that really got me stuck. And I was like, oh, what are you paying right now? And he's like, well, we started by paying $2,700 a year. And I was like, oh, it's great for B-side. And he was like, yeah, now it's up to like $6,000. And I was like, I know people that pay $8,000. And he was like, holy shit, really? And I was like, your real estate agent didn't tell you this? And he was like, no. And I was like, dude. And he was like, yeah, I also paid $30,000 over asking for the townhome. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? And he was like, yeah, I bought it in 2022. And my agent said that was the only way to get the home. And I was like, that's almost 10% over what the listed price was. How long was it on market? And he was like, I think it had been listed for like 2 or 3 weeks. And I was like, you got scammed, dude. You got scammed. I'm so sorry to tell you this, dude. You got completely ripped off by a real estate agent that wanted to take your money, and they did. And so we had this awesome conversation about like, he didn't get inspections. He didn't get inspections done on the place before he bought it. And so we're in this home, which needs some work, and he's pointing at the paint spot on the ceiling, whatever. He's a general contractor, or he owns a general contracting company. And I was like, oh yeah, we can figure that out in an inspection. And he was like, yeah. And he was like, I didn't do an inspection on the place that I bought. And I was like, did your real estate agent tell you to? And he was like, no. And I was like, at all? And he was like, no. And I was like, oh my God, I can't. You got so lucky, dude. You got so lucky that there's not a crack in the foundation, your AC unit went out, or that like nothing flooded. Like, you need someone, a fucking professional, to help you with wherever you go. And so they were super appreciative of like all the value that we gave them. And I gave them my business card, and I had them sign in form. And I was like, you don't have to buy anything from me. I'm not going to make you sign a form. I'm not going to get upset with you for not giving me money. I am here to try to protect people from what happened to you. You got so lucky. And everybody deserves to have a professional that isn't there to just take their money and genuinely help them. And that's what I'm here to do. So please, anytime you have a question, it doesn't even have to be about housing. It could just be something related to Brevard County. Call me and I will help you. And they were super appreciative. So that was an awesome conversation. And I hope that when they go to sell that townhome or buy somewhere else, that they consider our service, or at the very least, like, consult with us before doing it. Because also he was like, oh yeah, I bought it for X number and I have to sell it for Y number to break even because I did a lot of renovations in there. And I don't think I can sell it for Y number, so I'm going to take a loss on it. And I was like, really? And I was like, Y number sounds reasonable for that area, especially with renovations. Let's pull it up. So then we pulled it up. I took a look at it and I was like, oh, there are other ones that sold for Y number this year in that same complex, same townhomes, and they're not renovated. I bet you can cover Y number for sure. And he was like, I don't know. And I was like, listen, it's always safer to set your expectations low and then have them surpassed, right? It's always better to be conservative. Don't buy a more expensive property if you think that you're not going to get the money for the other property, right? But from what I'm seeing here, I would not be concerned about hitting Y number. And I showed him the comparables and I was like, this is what I'm seeing in these other units, right? And he actually mentioned, he was like, yeah, people list their houses for like way higher because the open house that we were doing is listed high. We told them that. And we told them the seller is expecting lower offers. So submit a lower offer. And he was like, yeah, I wish that people would just list low and then generate a frenzy, like a bidding war, and then have it sell high. And I was like, that's how my listing model works. I use something called the listing launch. And I got to like soft pitch my ideas to him and he really liked them. Cool. So that was an awesome open house. I have more. So I realized, so I'm just crushing weak links like day in and day out, right? And so my newest weak link that I had identified was during the open house. He was like, what would you guys offer on this house if you were buying it? And I was like, I hadn't even thought about that because I'm not framing myself as someone who would buy this house, right? Because it's super cool, but like, I don't have $600,000. But then I kind of realized in my own head, I'm talking to people who are. So I should be prepared to answer this question, right? Like I should mentally frame myself in that way, right? The house needs a lot of work. And so Grace came up with an answer pretty quickly because she's better at spotting what houses are actually worth than I am. But now I'm at the point where I'm so confident in my ability to help buyers and my ability to help sellers that now like the first step in a listing is to understand why the client's selling and then figure out what to list it for. And Grace is better at figuring out what to list for than I am, but Grace does it off vibes. I want to do it off technicalities. So I did this exercise with Grace where I picked 10 properties at random in Brevard County Property Appraiser, gave her the addresses, and then we pulled them up in the MLS and covered the sale price. And then we tried to guess using the similar properties that sold last year in the area, what they would sell for, right? And I got maybe like half of them within like 10%. But the other half were kind of funky because some of them were like put on the market and then taken off the market. And some of them were like, they sold in 2 days, which tells me that it was priced really low and I had guessed a price higher. So like, I think I was actually closer to it. But that's something, the CMA training is something that I'm going to be doing more regularly because I want to build the skill set that Grace has naturally. And I want to get really good at it. So that's something else I'm working on. And then my last business update here is I met a software guy a few weeks ago who said that he thinks he can work on data collection for people that are getting their houses foreclosed on. He can come up with a contact list like really quickly for people that are late on their property taxes or about to be foreclosed on. And I can use that contact information of those people to talk to the novation agreement guy that you met at the conference and say, hey guy, these people might be in the market. I've already called them. They are in the market. Here's a qualified lead. Go see if you can secure a novation agreement with them. And if you do and renovate it, then I'll sell it for you. Right. Mm-hmm. So that guy is working on that tool. We had a meeting this week to check on it. He also builds websites. And so I kind of ran by my idea for him. I want a super basic website with like my name, my stats, what I'm about with all my current listings and a VIP access code to see my early listings. And he was like, oh, I can do that for sure. And so I might figure out a way to pay him to manage that website, to build it and manage it. But that's my last entry. That's my business update.
Cool. Very nice.
What are your lessons learned this week?
Might as well take the leap of faith into the fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. So that's number one on my list. And then at this point I have methods, frameworks, strategies, and plans to get me through the next 3 months. So I might as well shoot for it. So
nice.
It's kind of similar flavor. Mm-hmm. But essentially like it is anxiety inducing to some extent. I hope that the business continues to scale. I hope that it continues to grow. Because if I cannot effectively get it to scale and grow, it will be very tight. And so I'm hoping that by transitioning my efforts over to just the business, I can find something that hits and wins.
What is something you can do to make sure that it doesn't grow?
What is if the ad accounts got locked up or the winning ad completely tanked, that would be no bueno. I mean,
I'm taking the Charlie Munger here of like, what can you do to make sure that it fails and do the opposite and it'll succeed?
I can give up on making advertisements.
Then just make a crazy amount of ads.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I can do. So, hoping that it goes well, a little bit of a leap of faith, but we'll see. And knock on wood, hope all goes well. So that's what I got for lessons learned. Fuck it, we ball.
Fuck it, we ball. That's a hell of a lesson. Like, I think you're on the thumbnail for this episode, so that'll go on the thumbnail.
Oh yeah,
that'll be good. That's funny.
What about you?
Those are good lessons.
Thanks.
So mine is most of my week was around trying to gain confidence, which is weird because usually I'm a pretty confident person in everything I do. But
Facebook has beaten the shit out of my confidence. This is my biggest leap of confidence, and it required me to have like 7 different backup logistical things.
Yeah. Understandably so.
Yeah, this process just like...
Yeah. Well, usually I think I'm confident because a lot of the things that I work in, like the risk of failure is just all on me, right? Or like people who I'm close to, not customers, right? So like my ability to perform impacts the life and financial situation of my clients.
Yeah.
Right? And I have huge empathy for the people who I work with. which is why I'm still trying to help these out-of-state people find a home, because I still care. And so I think that I need a more sure footing to be confident here. With SAE, I had never run a team or an organization like that before, and I had never designed a car from scratch before, but I had huge confidence in my ability to work with people and my engineering prowess. So I was able to go into the unknown without a problem. But if we failed, then the club loses money, and the people who didn't care, like, now don't have a club to not care about. Like the impact is low. In rowing, I know that I'm going to give absolutely everything, and if everything I have is not enough, then my crewmates will understand, right?
Mm-hmm.
But here it's like, if what I am promising is not enough and I underdeliver, then like people might end up in a really bad financial position, and like that impacts their kids, right? So like the people that came through the open house this weekend, it was a mother and a father and their 2 kids, right?
Yeah.
And like compared to a townhome, this place was huge. So I was asked, I was like, "What's your favorite part?" And they were like, "Oh, the whole room upstairs." And I was like, "Your dad told me that's going to be like all your space. What are you going to put up there?" And so like he was telling me about like the stuff, like his toys and stuff that he has. He's got like a BMX bike, and like I can't in good faith tell the parents that I have an ability that I'm actually gambling on, because that could ruin that kid's Christmas or high school experience, you know? And so I need to build a lot more confidence in that way. And what got me to do it was a Tucker Carlson story talking about Charlie Kirk. I've been watching more of that stuff this week to try to like stay in the loop, because I think it's something important for me. And he was talking about how Charlie Kirk was hosting an event that Tucker Carlson was supposed to speak at, and then Charlie Kirk's donors were pressuring him to take Tucker Carlson off the event because they didn't want him to speak there. And so Tucker was like, you know, "Hey, Charlie, like, don't worry about it. Like, you go do your thing. I've got other platforms I can talk on. Like, you know, I don't need to talk at your event, so it's okay." And Charlie was like, "No, like, it's a matter of principle. Like, you need to speak at my event because it's more than just the message that you're saying. It's the fact that you're allowed to speak there." And Tucker was like, "Are you sure?" And then Charlie Kirk said, "Go all the way." And that really resonated with me in, okay, don't get caught up in all the things that new salespeople do. And the second you're allowed to sell, start selling without knowing what your product is. Take the time, commit to not making money for as long as it takes to understand the process of what you're selling, and go do good work.
Yeah.
And so this week, there was a Candace Owens thing that she talked about Charlie Kirk's organizational skills, because he wasn't just a skilled speaker like on college campuses and debate, but he was good at organizing people and building a company that makes change. And that's a skill in itself. Like getting people to be as passionate about something as you are, that they'll give you their money or their time to commit to it, is a skill. And that's a skill that I feel I used to have when I was growing up in high school and team building with rowing and stuff, but I don't have as much anymore. But that's a skill that's valuable in real estate, because I'm a team with my clients. Like what I do to help my clients, we are in it together. I need to feel the same pain that they do. I need to feel the same stress. I need to feel the same importance, because if I don't, then I'll take their life for granted. And I don't want that to happen, because that'll hurt me as much as it hurts them. And so I then remembered some of the veterans from when I would write my essay contests growing up would always say that I'm a future senator or whatever, because I was really good at public speaking and like making friends with new people and whatever. And so I tried to really focus the energy that Charlie Kirk put into Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens' lives of like fully commit to what you're doing, do good work, state the facts and tell the truth, and like share the emotion that other people have. And I tried to use that to apply confidence to my product. And so the quote that I wrote here is that my ability to sell is directly correlated to my confidence in my product, and my confidence in my product is directly related to the quality of my product. And so this week has been all dedicated to improving the quality of my product so that my confidence improves and then my ability to sell improves.
Very cool.
So that's what I have for my life lessons.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Something that I'm going to be looking at in the future is improving the quality of my products as well. You know, beyond just like a digital booklet or whatever.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, product is key. And understanding that understanding what you're selling before you try to sell it is an obvious statement, yet is easy to pass on.
a lot of people do it in real estate.
Yeah. A lot of people do it generally.
In sales.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's understandable, right? Because I started to feel that pressure a little bit, like 2 weeks ago when Grace was like, oh, fuck. Like Grace had like $80 in her bank account and had to pay $850 in student loans tomorrow. And I was like, oh shit. Cause like I don't have like this money like ready to go. Right. And I made it happen. But I was like, fuck, because I understand now the pressures that other real estate agents go through. And if I didn't have the Northrop job, right, like an engineering job right now, I would feel the same amount of pressure, but I know that will come across in sales. And I don't want to sell. I don't want to work with clients because I need their money. I want to work with clients because I want to help them. But if my need for money is so desperate that I can't keep those two things separated, then I'm letting my own personal desires impact my work. And that's a non-negotiable for me. But I could feel it starting to creep in. And I started to realize this is why new salesmen sell themselves rather than learning their product and selling their product. It's because they need to make money. And that the cat is stronger than the cheese in that situation.
Yeah.
And so I understand it and I empathize with it, but it's something that I'm trying to like stave off with a 10-foot pole, because you can tell when someone's trying to sell you something and you can tell when someone's trying to help you with something. And I want to be the latter.
Right. All right. Very cool. You have a dial-in for us?
I do.
Awesome.
It's an Alex Ramosi quote, and it's pertaining to the difficult decision to stop chasing sales and focus on the fundamentals, because that's a difficult thing to do. You're essentially saying like, hey, I'm going to stop progressing my business and I'm going to stop growing my business. I'm going to say no to money in an effort to improve my product. And so the Hormozi quote is, when you're young, focus on learning rather than earning.
100%.
That's all I got.
I'm going to learn a lot regardless. But we both are. I mean, I was thinking about, what am I going to learn over the next 2 months? Probably a shit ton in either direction.
Probably how to buy groceries cheaper.
Yeah, it'll be a fun time. But be well. Hopefully you had a good week, good productive week, and no holidays coming up in the near future. But I guess just have a regular week and weekend, and see you next time.